thing, did I?
What thing?
The launch.
Oh, it's so jittery, isn't
I didn't do the pre-launch launch. I didn't do the 3 pre-launch launches because I only got in 10 minutes ago. So, I haven't done the clock either. Sorry, I can see the clock in the bottom.
The telly has a clock on it.
Telly's got a clock in it. Well, okay.
You're such a grumpus today.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm in such a bad mood today. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yeah. I was going to do one of your usual retorts back to you, but we're on the internet, so I can't.
Oh.
Yeah. But you've had too much of something. Or not enough.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us on what is a grimmish kind of. It's all right. Look,
it's right. It's one of those. It's like weird on-off rain. Sometimes it's warm. Sometimes it's cold.
Yeah.
Just can't. It's just not happy anymore.
Oh, what the fucking work tech? Right.
My beard still makes me disappear into my hoodie. I've got like no neck.
It's only the colour of the TV, to be fair.
Yeah.
If I push the exposure up, it doesn't look so bad. You're right. You still look trim though with that new. It's still very disconcerting seeing your lips.
Officer.
Nothing's working today either. Like one of our other cameras, I don't know if you guys remember from like 2-3 weeks ago when we put the cameras in, but they were a bit jittery.
Yeah.
Well, they're back to being jittery because the thing that I bought to fix the problem, which was a few £100, it's just not working. Like I turned the PC on 15 minutes ago because I got here late. I'll explain all in a minute. Turned the PC on 15 minutes ago. It's like, yeah, it doesn't recognise USB device. I mean, the one we've used for the last 3 to 4 battle reports, don't recognise it. It's the same. I haven't unplugged anything. I haven't unplugged anything, computer. Why can't computers just fucking turn off, turn back on, and work the same?
That's why I've always found it really funny, like how like you've got like, the PC master race of gaming. Yeah. And it's like people are like, oh, I don't do it. It's like, oh, like computers can run that game better. It's like, yeah, but your computer can't run it better because you invested thousands of pounds into it, kind of thing. But it's also like turn on computer, but you have to like light candles, you know, sing and dance to it, like shake it, you know, press the button so many times. And if it turns on, something just won't work for some reason.
I think at the moment, if I had the money, I'd just buy another console at home.
Yeah.
Playing video games. So
yeah.
My PC is very good, but it's just, when tech costs you that much money, it should just fucking work.
Yeah. But it's the whole build it yourself DIY thing, isn't it? Kind of thing at the same time. But even then, when you get companies to build your PCs for you, it's like, oh, I haven't downloaded this one specific driver and nothing will work.
Oh yeah, so, you know, I mean, again, the problem I have is, here's my big issue as well with it, Joe, right, is that USB device, so basically, to bore some of you, but explain to others who understand computers, my motherboard has a number of PCIe slots. Now, as per what is quite normal nowadays, those PCIe slots are different speeds, they're different read-write speeds. So I've got a graphics card in one, which is the top PCIe slot, which I need because this is the thing that basically takes all the video inputs in OBS, and I use my hardware to knit it all together to then send out the video feed, right? So essentially, it does a lot of encoding, and it has to work pretty fucking hard. The graphics card does. I've then got 2 PCIe slots below, and I use those 2 PCIe slots as video capture devices. So I've got capture cards that plug into the PCIe slot direct onto the motherboard that then give me HDMI inputs on the back of the PC, and that's how I run the cameras. So most of the cameras that you see, like the one in front of me now, are digital SLRs, they're Canon EOS R cameras, and they run on permanent power, and there's a HDMI lead that runs out of the camera all the way into the back of the PC. And the first PCIe slot of the 2 that have the capture card in it is a decent speed, it's a fast one. So when I'm pushing 4 4K 30 feeds into that PCIe slot, it copes with it fine. It doesn't matter, it's okay. It's all right. What I didn't know was the second PCIe slot is a slower speed, which is pretty typical of most computers nowadays because most people don't need to have 2 that can process 4 4K 30 feeds, which is pretty standard. And that's why, if I put it on Joe and he moves his hand, it's a bit jittery. Because basically, the PCIe slot, because it's also got me coming through at the same time, is now receiving so much data that it can't handle it, basically. And what it does is it slows the frame rate down to be able to handle the amount of data that comes through. So what I did was I bought what's called a Camlink 4K by Elgato. And a Camlink 4K is something that plugs into USB 3.0, and then you plug your HDMI into that USB 3.0 adapter, and so it takes the PCIe slot out of the way, just uses USB 3.0. And if I take one of the cameras out of the PCIe and put it into the the USB 3.0, both of them run at a reasonable frame rate. Not perfect, but much, much, much better than what I've just shown you. For some reason, and that's been, I plug it all in, got it all working 2 weeks ago, haven't touched it since, and for some reason I turn the computer on today, it's like, yeah, it doesn't recognise it, it's not there. Computer doesn't recognise it. So I imagine I probably need to do some kind of firmware update or something, but I don't understand. This is where computers do piss me off.
Yeah.
Works for 2 weeks, not today.
Yeah. Just like remember when it would just crash in the garage for no reason.
Don't. It took me ages to work out what was going on with that.
And I just find it really...
And that was a setting that I had to change in the BIOS.
Yeah. If only they just sold a streaming computer that just worked. Like a console, you just buy it, plug it in, done.
That was a setting in BIOS. It's not even a setting you can access in your computer. You have to reboot your computer and enter BIOS and change a setting in your BIOS to be able to stop that crashing from happening. Unbelievable.
A lot of abbreviated words, isn't there, in computers? Isn't there?
There is a lot.
You just like this, that, the 1, 2, 3, the ZM, the
Also,
PCI.
when you consider that 7 years ago, when I started the channel, I had no idea about computers at all. No idea. I was a console gamer. I'd never touched computers in my life. And so both the PC here in the studio and the PC at home are self-built. And I'm completely self-taught on YouTube.
Yeah.
And when you come up with all of these and acronyms and shortcuts and letters instead of words, I'm like, right, pause. I need to Google what that means.
Because it means nothing. So I plugged in the GTFO to the GGI Friday.
So this morning's been a stressful one already. Like I said, I woke up in a bad mood. I mean, we were a bit late to the party because I was like, I can't go in this shit. I was in a shitty foul mood this morning. I can't go in a shitty foul mood. So I had a shower and a reset.
He just comes in, punches me in the face.
Yeah, I had a shower and a reset before I came to work because I don't want to be a grumpy fucker for you beautiful human beings. I think partly it's because YouTube are still not essentially recognising that we have this issue with gifted either.
So has YouTube said that there's an issue? They have done an
No.
official statement yet?
So I've raised a ticket with YouTube officially, no response. I've emailed my partner manager, so far no response. The only response I got yesterday finally was on Twitter from the YouTube creators official account, who told me that to fix the gifted issue, I need to sign out and in, clear cookies and browsing data, and then try and gift again. I was like, no, you fucking clowns. I'm not doing the gifting, although I also can't gift on other channels right now.
But why is... But you contacted the people like that help the streamers, right? So why are they telling you to turn your computer on and off again when you're the one that's not receiving them?
Well, I tagged YouTube and YouTube something else, and a different account got back to me. It's an official one, but it got back to me. And then they said, let me know how it goes. In the meantime, a couple of other streamers who I know, who are typically video game streamers, they're not actually 40k streamers.
They're like a big kissing party online.
They responded to my tweet saying, no, we've tried that, it doesn't work. So we know it doesn't work already. And then the official YouTube account that said, let me know how you get on, has had about 5 or 6 responses now saying it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not had anything else. Thanks, YouTube. I mean, whilst people can't gift, you're also not making money, you fucking idiots.
They won't be watching her.
No, nor will they care, because I don't think it'll be a big amount of money.
They're still making fuckloads of money. It's like, they're like, it's a problem, it's not really a
Computers are a lot of TLAs. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
You know what TLA stands for?
Turtle licking...
Arsehole.
Arsehole.
Yeah. Or 3-letter abbreviation, but we'll go with turtle licking arsehole.
Yeah.
So I looked at revenue this morning on my daily report that I run, and YouTube's fucked us this month, Joe. But hey, we soldier on. So I figured I would attempt to sort of utilise some of this bad mood, and that's why today's topic exists.
Yeah.
Now, this actually wasn't born out of my bad mood. This was born out of a discussion that I was having in Thanes on Saturday. And it's an opinion that I have. And I think it's one of the only negatives at the moment that I can really... Have you laughed at the name of the gifter?
Yeah.
I think it's one of the only negatives.
John.
Thanks, John. Yeah.
Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships from Chapter Master Camel Toe.
You got hope for him?
I hope that next time you go and do some public talking. I know he does a bit of public talking.
Does he?
I think so. Like, I hope you don't have an aggressive, like, moose knuckle going on in your suit.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. Just full pleats. Lovely pleats all the time. So, so this was a discussion that we had in Thanes, or I was having in Thanes on Saturday, and I don't have a lot of negative to say about new AOS. I've got
one concern, which we'll probably talk about later, because we probably won't be able to make this last the whole stream, what I'm about to talk about. But the other thing was, I can't show you this. I don't have a physical copy of the Scaven book. They didn't send me one. I would love to play the whole, we upset them, so they didn't miss it. Well, actually, there was a mix-up, and they didn't have us on the distribution list for new AOS stuff.
Yeah.
That's now been fixed.
Yeah.
So it's not a massive concern, because we don't have a Scaven army right now. But at some point, we'll have to pick up the Battletome as Joe keeps painting more Scaven stuff. But it means they didn't send us all the new models or any of that sort of stuff. We didn't get any of it at all. Which, we get a lot from GW. I'm never actually going to complain about that. But I've seen the Battletome, because we did get a digital copy.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to actually have it.
I can't show you the digital copy. I'm not allowed to show you the digital copy. That's part of the terms of our NDA. I can't show you anything they send us digitally. I can only show you physical products. So I have seen it. So I am aware of what's in the Battletome for Scaven. And this is one of the rare moments where I think that AOS 4 has got it wrong.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And I'm open to discussion about this, as always. I never say, this is my opinion, I am right. I'm always open to discussion.
That's like how all YouTubers are.
I know, yeah. It's weird that we're different, isn't it? Maybe that's why we don't do so well for subs.
Yeah.
But the new AOS Battletome, I now personally think, and there's a caveat to this as well, that is, if the 40k rules writing team were able to write a codex that wasn't out of date in 30 minutes, this would be relevant, right? The only thing that AOS has potentially got over 40k at this point is that they can't seem to write a competent codex, and so it is out of date in 30 minutes. If we take that issue out of the equation, I now personally believe that AOS Battletomes are now worse value than 40k codexes. And I'll explain. Up until this edition, I had always said that Battletomes in AOS were flat better than 40k codexes.
Oh, by a long way.
And there was a number of reasons to it. You had, especially with 10th edition, you had spell laws, and you had lots of different faction abilities that you could pick, and you had lots of formations and battle formations in your codex, your Battletome. And you also had, John said, keep the gift train going. And I'm just saying, he said it, not me. And you also had 6 pages-ish of painting guides and all kinds of stuff. And I thought these are incredible value. Okay, 40k in 10th edition went, see how some of that's decent. And they added in some painting guides. They didn't add in the depth that I would like. They basically showed you how to paint the combat patrol box. And I was like, you know what? For accessibility, I get it. I get only giving us that much. And I get the fact that people will typically Google other paint guides anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a step in the right direction. It's a step towards AOS Battletomes. AOS 4, they've gone from 6 pages of painting guides down to how do you paint your Spear Hub box, that's it.
It's like a step backwards, isn't it?
Now, as a person who was looking into painting Sylvaneth and Lumineth, I have pored over those pages of paint guides, and I had bought all my GW paints based on those paint guides, and looking at the new Scaven one, it's just not as good. So now, I'm definitely going to be going to YouTube for paint guides for new AOS stuff, which makes me sad. The other thing as well is, battle formations, in terms of like your detachment abilities, etc., there's nothing new. It's the same. You get the same amount of content that you get in the index. The same amount. At least with 40k, whether you like it or not, at least with 40k, you went from a single detachment in your index to 4 to 7 detachments in your codex.
But
AOS gave you 4 battle formations that weren't very in-depth comparatively with 40k, and in the Battletome, you get 4 battle formations.
But, right, if you look at, say, the current Blood Angels Codex, for example, you had the Blood Angels Index, which is a good, strong detachment.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? And they took that detachment and they put it in the Blood Angels Codex, and they turned it into the Liberation Assault Force or something, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Right? And they just made it flat better.
Good coffee, by the way.
Oh,
thank you.
Good. Made it flat better.
Yeah.
Right? And then they put 2 comparatively subpar detachments in there.
Right.
Right? To the point where you're not really going to play those 2. So would you have been better off either making 2? Well, they would have been better off making 2 equally good detachments. So you would have had 3. Or would they have been better off just not having those 2 detachments in there at all?
Well, I'd argue that at least giving you the option to have more variety to narrow. So if you're looking at it from a competitive standpoint, if you're looking at it for going to tournaments and events, I agree with you. The other 2 are pointless.
Yeah.
Actually, I disagree slightly. I personally genuinely think that both those other detachments have play. I don't think they're as good as Liberator.
Yeah.
And I think that's our problem, is we look at something that's as good as another thing and go, well, there's no way you'll take the other two. I still think uppy-downy stuff with the Sanguinary detachment is incredible in competitive play.
But it's called the Golden Host, that detachment. But the detachment is aimed towards things like suppressors and inceptors.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, it's better for those things. I don't think it's aimed for them. I think it's aimed towards the Golden Boys, but it has failed in that mission.
They've made a detachment that's kind of aimed at something, but not really aimed at it.
But what I'm saying is, I think you could run the Death Company detachment and the Sanguinary detachment at events and do okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they're as good as the Liberator. I agree with you there. And then also remembering that Blood Angels add those 3 to the 7 already available to them, because they can still run Codex Astartes detachments. So Blood Angels players can come to a table at an event, whether it be narrative or competitive, and they do have access to 10 detachments.
Yeah.
Right? They've gone from access to 1 to 2, because at the start of the index they could use the Space Marine one or the Blood Angels one, to 7/8, and now to 10.
Yeah.
That's an incredible amount of variety. And this is going to actually move on to my second concern about AOS. They have taken 40k simplified, not simple, and said, hold our beer, we're going to show you how to actually do this. And for that, I think they've done a very good job. They've genuinely done a very good job. I am, having seen the Scaven Battletome, very concerned about how much depth this game is going to have over its 3-year life. And I don't think it's going to have enough depth if this is all we're going to see. Now, fingers crossed, what we do is we see the, not chapter proof, what do they call them? General's Handbooks.
General's Handbook, yeah.
Hopefully we see the General's Handbooks, we see campaign books that start to add depth into the game of AOS. But having played it a bit already, Joe and I are playing tonight, and I'll be straight up, chat, and I'll hold my hands up and say, I'm kind of meh about playing tonight. I'm not really bothered, because I feel like the game is already feeling a little bit stale.
I'm going to try and make a custom mission tonight.
Interesting. Okay.
Because the problem is we've done all the missions. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Age of Sigmar.
I do, yeah. Categorically.
Space Marine 2 has done a lot to revitalise 40k. We were on the 40k hype train after the Hellstorm event.
Hellstorm helped, yeah, 100%.
It helped. Like, I already liked 40k, and I was really liking it.
Hellstorm steered me back into that direction, and the Space Marine kicked me firmly up the arse.
Yeah, so it's done a lot for you. And the problem is, when you play Age of Sigmar, the missions, despite being different, outwardly all look the same.
They do, yes.
And the game kind of plays the same a lot.
It does.
And I can understand why Tabletop Tactics, Vanguard Tactics, Titans have all kind of slowly pushed it off the end of the table.
Well, here's the thing. A bunch of them have already essentially shit-canned their content.
Yeah.
They've already stopped doing it.
But
we're not, by the way.
We're not getting rid of it. So what my plan is, and this is what I hope Games Workshop are going to do, is give new ways of playing the game.
Okay.
Right? So I need to know what army you're playing tonight.
Stormcast.
Okay, cool.
Play Stormcast.
No, that's good. That's good. That helps me.
Yeah.
So
I want to play Stormcast.
So people were talking about us doing something similar to Age of Sigmar boarding actions. Right? We're not going to play that tonight. But I'm going to do a specific table so I can learn from the experience that will help then push me in a way of writing my own version of Age of Sigmar boarding actions. But it won't be boarding actions. It will be fighting in a cellar, you know, dungeon fighting,
dungeon crawling, yeah,
bum fights, you know. And then I think that's what Age of Sigmar needs is they've done the best competitive tournament book I've ever seen from Games Workshop come out.
It's phenomenal.
The current General's Handbook is the best piece of equipment any TO could get hold of.
But the missions are all a bit samey.
But they're all quite samey, but that's what tournament players want.
And Escapade says AOS missions are all the same. Sounds like 40k. This is part of my problem with 40k. Yeah. This is exactly my point, though, Escapade. 100%.
Obviously, when Hobby House opens that downstairs, we'll be doing events like no one else.
We might be able to sign that soon.
Yeah? Ooh, so basically, the events I want to run downstairs aren't going to be like competitive events.
We will do some.
Yeah, we will cater to those dweebs, but but we'll do it in a better way. So
We'll cater to those dweebs.
yeah, but I think like,
Way to sell it to them, Joe.
and I think we need to see more different ways of playing the game now. But this is a problem with
I wasn't
society.
do anything.
With society as a whole, right? Gamers as a whole, right? The game hasn't been out for more than 3 months, 4 months now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I know where you're going to go here. I'm going to let you speak because
Right.
I've got
And
opinions.
we're only just getting the second book, and people are already like, "Oh, Dad, it's so boring." Right? Space Marine 2 was out for a weekend, and people were like, "We want more content." People's demands are way ahead of a company's output.
Okay.
So people were like, "I've done it. I want more now." And the company's like, "Whoa, you've literally just had it. Give us some time."
Whoa.
Whoa, like, let us get some stuff out. But then it's that Games Workshop's fault for not going box it out. Month 1 Codex Battletome, month 2 Battletome, month 3 Battletome, month 4 Battletome, much like 8th edition was. Is it that we want more than they can produce? Is that a problem?
So I think, if I'm honest with you, that we don't necessarily want more than GW have the capability to produce.
Yeah.
It's just their focus is shifting more plastic than it is actually giving us engaging ways of playing.
Yeah.
They produce more than we can keep up with. You know, as well as anybody, as the person who has to paint it all,
Yeah.
they produce significantly more than we can actually keep up with.
Yeah.
So in terms of we want more than they can produce, no, their focus on production, I think, is a bit squiffy. It's not quite where I think it needs to be personally. I don't own or run a multi-million-pound business, so, you know, perhaps I'm talking out my arse. But I think they're able to produce. Space Marine 2, which is a game I love.
Yeah.
I am one of its biggest critics for it's not got enough content at launch. And I think that games that came out 5-10 years ago had significantly more content at launch than they do now.
Yeah.
Significantly more.
Okay, so I was having this discussion with my friend the other day because this came around because of like it was like a YouTube or a TikTok that I saw where they're like, well, what happened when with games when the internet wasn't around? A game came out and it just had to be good.
Yeah, it had to work.
It had to work.
Because you couldn't do an update.
Yeah, it had to just be good on release.
Exactly.
Now, when you buy a Call of Duty, Battlefield, you buy any game, you put it into your console. If you've got the disc, it's worse if you've got the disc because you put it in, you download all the information on the disc, and then it goes, here's a 15 gigabyte update.
Yep. Not good enough.
Right? Whereas if you pre-download the game, you don't really notice so much. So the digital way of going things is often better than that. But that's like things nowadays aren't coming out finished.
Which
I'd argue Age of Sigmar, out of all of Games Workshop's game releases, is the most polished version of any game.
so in terms of what, right, so I need to be clear here. I'm not slamming AOS or saying I don't like AOS. I fucking love AOS still.
Yeah.
I was not excited about playing tonight just because I was like, we've played all the missions, so I kind of want some updated kind of ways of playing. And I want some more fun ways of playing. The way I've got myself into playing tonight is I'll play Stormcast once. I want to play more Stormcast. And they're like AOS Space Marines, kind of. So that's what I'm going to do, right? That being said, the job the team did in releasing AOS 4.0 is incredible. And the updates they've had to put out since to clarify or clean up the game are incredibly minimal when you compare them to that mess of a rules commentary document that 40k has got, right? So in terms of what the AOS rules team have done compared to the 40k rules team as an overall release, they have pissed all over the 40k rules team and made the 40k rules team look absolutely pathetic.
Yeah.
However, I do think the AOS Battletomes are lacking in content compared to 40k codexes.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the ways you potentially could have kept AOS interesting is by releasing more depth in your Battletomes. I'm not saying I want every AOS faction to have access to 10 different detachments.
Do the new Battletomes come with like an army-specific mission in them?
I don't think so. I don't know. It might have Path to Glory.
They've got Path to Glory because there was a time.
What you have is you have 4 battle formations, and all 4 of those battle formations have the same access to the same battle traits. In 40k, you have minimum 4 detachments with a detachment rule that each have access to 3 what do they call it? They don't call it relics anymore. Enhancements.
Yeah.
And have access to 6 stratagems. In AOS, you get 4 battle formations that don't have unique enhancements or stratagems. They have their own battle traits, and they have their own. They don't have their own battle traits. They have generic battle traits, generic artifacts, and traits, heroic traits, right? And I feel like there's just not enough depth in the AOS Battletomes.
So when all the
I'm happy to be wrong, by the way. It's just the way I feel right now.
it's like if you look at how the Space Marine and the Tyranids came out, right? From Index to Codex. It was a straight copy-paste from the indexes. Like all the... Yeah, you got the new detachments, which were great, but more often than not, every data sheet from the index was exactly the same.
Yeah, but you had all those new detachments. You just nailed it.
Yeah, I know that. But the problem is like, if you think these two are the first 2 books out of the gate.
Well, we haven't seen
the other one yet. So the Scaven book is literally the first one out the gate. How much design time do you think they really? Because that book would have gone to print.
Yeah, but
before this box set was.
But you're not suggesting that after Skaven and Stormcast and the first couple, we're then going to see books with a lot more detachment rules in. It's not going to happen because then that creates an imbalance. All the Battletomes are going to have similar levels of.
Do you reckon this is like you've had your index cards. Now we're going to have the official books, which are kind of the same because we're trying to keep that integral balance to get the game fixed.
Doesn't need fixing, it's good.
And then AOS 5 comes out, or 4.5 comes out. So once the forerunner books are out, do you think they'll go, here's the next Skaven book, we're now going to change the detachments? So you're going to get 4 entirely new detachments.
I mean, maybe, but we're talking about a 3-year life cycle before that happens. I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's going to be enough in
Or do you reckon
in 3
it's
years.
just a balancing thing? They're like they've got all their plates spinning, and they're spinning all right, and then obviously a few FAQ spin catch-ups, you know?
So I think it is a balancing thing.
Yeah.
I think that they've done this because it's easier to keep it balanced if you don't have multitudes of detachments that have multitudes of different stratagems and different relics that you have access to. I do think it's a balance thing. I'm just worried that there's going to be a lack of content overall or a lack of depth, I should say, overall, to keep AOS players interested. I'm keen to know what you lot think, chat, honestly, about this particular topic. Do you think now AOS Battletomes are as good a value as they were before? Do you think they're worse value now? Do you think they're worse? If you would definitely let us know how you feel, you'd stick up a postcard for us because chat moves quite quickly. Yeah. And I'm trying to concentrate on actually doing something productive.
So Taylor, this is his 3rd ever super chat.
Thank you, Taylor.
It's got a little number 3 on it. Not sure if I have signal to adequately watch, listen live as I'm working and lurking. I have to sometimes stand in concrete boxes.
As a punishment?
Yeah, like concrete shoes.
Yeah.
They're going to throw you into a shallow lake.
How much was that for? For 5?
5 beans.
Thank you so much, Taylor, for the 5, dude. What a legend.
Every long time. What do you do? What is your job?
Standing in concrete
Do you
boxes.
just make modern day houses? Is that what they're talking about? Thank you, Kazarian. Says, did you accidentally press the button nobody presses? Would you like to safely eject this USB? Are you accidentally the chosen one who uses that?
No. I didn't press that button, mate.
No one uses that button, do they? Don't they just yank it out? And
I use that button all the time.
Do you?
Yeah. To safely eject. Yeah. You know what my tism's like, Joe.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm just going to try and... Birdman.
You know what I'm like. Everything gets done and it gets done properly.
Yeah. And then obviously Mr. Camel Toe gifted 20 memberships.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evan Hello for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Harborn Vortex Games for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Mr. the Hardborn.
I hope...
Exclamation mark Vortex.
Exclamation mark Vortex, yes. I hope next time you eat a chocolate eclair, you don't bite into it and all the cream comes out the end.
Does that happen to you often?
Yeah, it's a nightmare when it happens. Thank you, White55, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Rossonero, for 10 gifted memberships.
Thank you so much for 10, dude. What a fucking legend.
I hope next time you go out for a walk, there's a field with friendly cows in it that let you stroke
I knew it wouldn't be long before we came to the friendly animals.
Why?
Because every single time there's a friendly animal involved somewhere, Joe.
Yeah, but everyone loves a friendly animal.
Do they?
Yeah. I was watching a TikTok this morning.
Of course you were.
There's this girl that does stuff.
Of course
She's
she
got
was.
her clothes on, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Fully clothed,
Of
jumper
course.
and all.
Yep.
And she does daily good news, right? Gives you good news update.
Is she?
Right.
I'm sure she
And
does.
then she was talking about a town up north,
Up north.
right? And they have a duck patrol.
Do they?
So there's about 20, 30 ducks that live in the river near the town, but they've all just decided to start sleeping in the car park in the middle of the town.
Have they?
So it takes like 10-minute walk for the ducks to like waddle through town to get to the car
Waddle,
park.
waddle.
So now they have duck patrols, which has like 100 people helping them. And in the morning, they walk the ducks from the car park at like 6 in the morning to the river, and then at 8 o'clock at night they walk the ducks from the river back to the car park.
Do they?
They do shifts, right? And some of the volunteers then sit with the ducks until like 2 o'clock in the morning to make sure they don't get run over.
Do they?
Oh, that's some real good news.
Is it?
Yeah.
I fucking love you.
Yeah.
Never change.
And then have you seen that one about the really thick penguin in America?
With 3 Cs.
Yeah, he's huge. I can't remember his name, but someone here will know. Basically, he's an emperor penguin, but there's like all the emperor penguins, and he's like a baby, like the fluffy one, and he's literally like a foot taller than all of them. He's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Just like he's like Lenny from Of Mice and Men. Thank you, Sam Deacon, for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Sam.
I hope. I hope next time you order a burger, it comes with 3 onion rings.
What? Why is this guy got a cloth on his sword
He's cleaning his blade, isn't he?
whilst he's walking along?
Well, it's like
Getting us on?
cleaning the blood off. I don't know why, because it's an electric sword. The blood literally just sizzles off the end.
Yeah, I kind of want to build it though because I think it looks cool.
It looks cool.
I'm going to build that one.
There we go. Meet Squadron. He's in Australia, and his name is Pesto. That's the name of the penguin.
Thank you so much, Sam. Anyway, for the
Oswald Cobblepot.
thank you
Danny
for
DeVito
the
running
5
around.
gifted. Sam, aren't you on iPhone? You couldn't gift and you're on iPhone. Does that mean that you've either fixed your gifting issue, or does that mean you've ignored me and you've paid an extra £5 to gift 5 memberships?
Maybe.
Don't disappoint me now.
Have you seen in Australia that Games Workshop giving launch boxes of AOS 4 to event organisers just for attending an event?
I haven't seen that, no.
Games Workshop does have really good tournament support.
I mean, they definitely should also give more away to fucking Australia as well.
Yeah.
The amount they
It's already
fucking
hard
charge
enough to
you,
live there.
the robbing bastards.
Thank you, Pridders.
25.
25 beans, orange one.
Oh, so for
Pridders
gifting hasn't been
gifted 5
fixing.
Dempsey memberships that can't be distributed as YouTube haven't fixed it. Yay for custom missions. Great Hall mission pack when? Well, once downstairs is actually organised and sorted, and we've got all like the terrain in and stuff, and we know how many tables it's going to be, then I can kind of plan what kind of events we can do. I like the idea of events where they go bring 2,000 points, bring 1,000 points, and then right, you end up having to be, depending on what table you go on, you're playing a Zone Mortalis game, so you got your 1,500 points, or you're just doing a normal game, so it's 2,000 points. I like the idea of those.
Yeah.
And then you go, you just bring that. You can make your 1,000 points out of the 2,000 points you're bringing, or you can bring an additional 1,000 points of a different style army. But it has to be like the same faction, and it can't be like Spamalot who turns up with 20,000 points of guard.
130 Scaven type boxes getting handed out for free. That's bad though, isn't it? I suspect that's we've still got stock. Get rid of some of it.
I think it's great. I think it's a really good idea.
No, I think it's great that they're giving it away for free, but is it not a bad indication as to how well Scaven Tides performed as a box set?
Age of Sigmar is never going to sell. It's never going to be as big, and it's never going to sell as well as 40k. We want it to.
Why?
Because I think it's the fantasy setting. Just the fact that the fantasy setting exists.
Why though? Because you don't think Lord of the Rings is as well as...
You've watched Toy Story. Spaceships are better. And lasers.
Well, they're not though, are they?
What?
Would you rather watch Star Wars or
Yeah, but
Lord of the Rings?
why doesn't the Lord of the Rings game sell? By that logic, the Lord of the Rings game would be one of the biggest games ever.
But but by your logic, it wouldn't be watched at all because it's set in a fantasy setting.
Okay, 50-50.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
but
I don't think it's the setting that's the problem.
Only because it's not the models, because the models are beautiful. It's not the rules, because the rules are very similar to 40k.
I agree with both those things.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why it's not as successful.
I think it's just this. I just think the fact that because Old World Warhammer Fantasy got scrapped. I think it's just a.
But even
it's a product of its own.
But why was Fantasy scrapped, Joe?
Because it wasn't selling as well
as
40k.
So nothing does as well as 40k.
But is that because we're conditioned as children to just? Because obviously 40k has been around since we were all children. We did it as kids.
I don't know.
And we're like Space Marines.
I can't put my finger on it. I don't know the answer. I'm asking you because I was interested to know.
Ideally, what we want is every other channel to scrap Age of Sigmar.
Well, here's my concern.
And then we're the only ones to do it.
So my concern about the amount of content that exists in a Battletome, or the amount of content that exists in mission variety and game variety. My concern isn't because I'm bored of it yet. I didn't really want to play it today because I played all the missions already. And I'm in a bad mood, right? The second you get to the fact I'm in a bad mood, and I start losing.
He's a grumpig.
So I need to try and not be a grumpy fucking little bitch later, which is could be a challenge at the moment. But my big concern about the quality and amount of content that exists within things like Battletomes is because I actually really want to just keep playing this game on the channel and keep covering the game on the channel. I really, really want to. And I get concerned. So we're gonna, as I always do, make business decisions. That's what we do. Like, what's the right thing to do for the channel?
Business.
What's the right thing to do? Business. What's the right thing to do for content? And sometimes that means playing a game I don't want to play, or not doing something that I want to do, etc., etc. So the problem with business or turning your hobby into your business is sometimes you have to do a thing you don't want to do, or don't do a thing you do want to do, and because you're like, I love this thing, but it's just not going to do well for content, right? It just won't. So it's a lot of time and effort going into it. We've got bills to pay. If we put loads of time and effort into something, and essentially what we've done at that point, if we put money into it, and it doesn't do anything, we've then wasted that money essentially.
Yeah.
So I want to keep covering AOS. However, if in 6 months' time, 8 months' time, it's clear to the audience out there, not the audience necessarily, the consumer of the product out there, there's a lack of variety and a lack of depth of content, it's very plausible and very possible that our audience starts to disappear. We've already seen a decrease in the AOS audience. In fact, I had a meeting with Adrian from Titans last week, and we're seeing it across everybody's seeing a decrease already. The hype for AOS 4 has already died off. Right? So I'm looking at that carefully, saying at the moment I'm still really enjoying the game, and I think because of the way in which we present anything that we do, I feel like people who don't even like 40k, don't even like AOS at the moment, could still watch a game and enjoy it because of the way we try and present. And hopefully that's enough to keep people coming back and watching, despite perhaps not being interested in the setting, models, the rules, or whatever. And I'm hoping that we can kind of continue to milk that little pig and keep doing it, and people can continue to enjoy it. Because I want to keep covering that game system.
I love milking pigs.
However, if the audience drops off and the engagement drops off enough that I'm like, we're doing 300, 400 viewers on 40k, we're doing 80 viewers on AOS, at some point I'll have to make a decision that is, we need to stop doing AOS. It's not worth it anymore. And we'll have to go back to doing 40k on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or bringing a different game in, or whatever it is we decide to do. Because that's going to make more sense for the business overall. Now, I think at that point, I would still want to be going to AOS events and playing the game, because I think the game is great overall, but it is a concern for me. And when I opened the Scaven Battletome, and I looked at it for the first time, I was very excited to get into it, and very disappointed when I finished. And I don't know how many out of you are Scaven players who have picked up the new Battletome. Has anyone actually opened it and gone, I'm kind of not really bothered by this?
Well, the bring is, if it's exactly the same as the cards that you've already got, it's not exciting, is it? It's not new. Having all the pictures of the nice new models in there is good. Like those new Storm Vermin are beautiful. I'd just have an entire army of Storm Vermin because they're like the coolest models in that book. I think they just look amazing. And Storm Vermin have never had a bad model. They've just always been cool. But I think if you're opening that book and you're like, oh, it's all the same, it's a bit sad.
Well, so I'm not a Scaven fan personally. I've never really been that bothered by Scaven. I don't really care about Ratmen. Just personal, not really bothered by them. I don't think they're bad. It's just
I think
never
they're
something
a really good baddie.
Yeah, it's just never been something that's excited me. So I was excited to see the rules and the rules interactions and how those sorts of things work in the Battletome. And when I opened it and went, well, I don't need to see how the rules interact. I've already seen how the rules interact because it's the same.
Yeah.
And there's no expansion. Like having a set of rules that are the same as the index on the first Codex, I'm not against. But there's nothing extra in there. There's no depth.
I suppose the only difference is all the new models, isn't it, that came out, that didn't exist before.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't think that's enough. I don't think they're going to be releasing enough models over the course of AOS 4 to do that for every faction.
I think we're going to see a massive decrease in the amount of models going forward in the books. I'm 100% convinced. For instance, like with the new Slaves to Darkness book, we haven't seen it by the way, so this is a complete guess. I reckon things like the Chariot are going to go. I think there's going to be a lot of models leaving.
You reckon?
Yeah, because so like the Chariot, for instance, that's in the Spearhead box set, that's just gone to Old World. You could buy it with a square base now. Games Workshop aren't going to sell 2 versions of that box set. One with a round oval base, one with the square base. I doubt they'll sell it with both in the box.
They've done that in the past.
They did in the past with Demons, like at the end of Old World.
I think you're right, though. I don't think they will.
I think we're going to see the, I think you're going to see them, like when the City of Sigmar come out, all of the dwarfs will disappear, all of the Dark Elves will disappear. And they'll find a way of putting in either a new version of generic elves that they'll have new sculpts for, or they'll just go, City of Sigmar are just humans now, but you can ally in or do detachment of other order factions. Which is good, because like armies like cities do have a lot of bloat within their data sheet box is like that thick. But if you take out anything that's not human, it goes whoop right to that. But then I'd like to see new units come out for like an army like them.
For cities?
For cities, yeah. Like great swords and stuff like that, like bodyguard units.
Well, I think Cities is making a change away from being an amalgamation of all of the old fantasy stuff into being its own faction that is essentially the Guard, the Astra Militarum.
Did Scaven lose any units? I'd have to have a look.
I don't know enough about them, Jack.
But they're not. I'd be interested to know if they lost any units. Because obviously, I imagine the Stormcast Eternals will probably lose some units as well.
No, they've already told us what's going.
Oh yeah.
They're already gone, haven't they? They've already done that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're losing extra stuff every time a Battletome comes out at the moment. I'd be interested about things like the Chariot. I'd be interested to see what happens there because that Chariot is well off scale.
Yeah,
very old model.
Will they get a new Chariot or will they just write off the fact that it exists?
Because it's still in the index, I'd assume what we'll see, if anything, is a new model. But that's an assumption. I don't know for definite. So don't quote me on it, chat.
Yeah, but Games Workshop like getting rid of stuff. Streamlining those armies and those leggies.
I still feel like the Battletomes are now worse value than they were before. And I think that they're definitely worse value than 40k ones now. I think 40k ones, when you think about the fact that, well, I really like that stratagem, but I don't like that detachment rule, so I might actually go for that detachment rule. And it's got a couple of good stratagems, but I like that enhancement. And you have to really decide which one you want to lean into. And I know for some armies, I know part of your argument before you start, some armies this is a good one, the rest are all bad, you just take this detachment.
Yeah.
Which competitively, you're not wrong. I do agree with you on that one. But there's a lot of people out there that I've come to realise over the course of the last few months when I've been putting myself back into 40k, they're like, I'm taking this detachment. Well, why? Because this one's stronger. Yeah, but this one fits my army's narrative. This one's cooler for me.
Yeah.
Or I get to use this little weird thing that no one else does. And I'm like, okay, so there are people out there that do that. That is a thing. Not everyone's have to hyper-optimise Joe. Like a lot of people are like, this is cool narrative, so I'm going to run this instead. And so I feel like AOS is now missing that depth for players.
Yeah.
To really dial into, I want my army to feel like this. So now I've picked this battle formation. I get access to these artifacts. I get access to these magical laws. We were told, and again, maybe it's just the way that content's going to be delivered in AOS that's different.
Yeah.
But we were told with AOS that when we went for the day at the zoo, that things like magical laws, you pick your law. You have access to your law. Well, the Scaven one has shown us that we're not going to get loads of extra laws per faction.
Yeah.
So like, I was thinking as Lumineth, you could get the law that is the wind law, or the law that is the light law, the law that is the etc. etc. But I don't feel like we're going to get that now.
No.
I don't know.
This is why people imagine having siege engines for Cities of Sigmar. Well, in the Talia Vedra book, which if you like cities, I think is a must listen to. There's units in there, and there's things in there that they talk about that I've never heard of in Age of Sigmar before, which make me hope they'll come out. So they have like siege towers, but they're clockwork. So like imagine like a gatehouse on wheels or mechanical legs, and it's got built-in guns everywhere. It's kind of, how cool would that be to have like walking around the table? Just like,
Yeah, but I could just have more Space Marines.
yes, and Space Marines are cool. And that's also, it's not a problem.
I would trigger the Thanes right now. That book, that audio book, The Lady of Sorrows that I was listening to.
Yeah.
Haven't finished it. Still sat in my audio library unfinished.
Really?
And I listened to Avenging Sun instead.
It's in my wish list. I've got so many books in my wish list.
I got bored of it.
Yeah. I actually got bored of a 40k book. So there's a 40k book, which I got, which I've had in my wish list for ages and ages and ages. And then because of my backlog of Audible 2.99 sale books got quite large, and I was working through it. I actually ended up with a spare token.
Oh.
So I got Volpone Glory. So the Volpone is another army of guard that features heavily in the Ghost books.
Okay.
And they're all aristocratic knobheads. They're like real, like hoity-toity. They're called the Blue Bloods. So they're all super posh. They're all monumental dickheads.
Are you saying everybody who's posh is a dickhead, Joe?
And they always try to like screw over the ghosts, like, or try and kill them in really like backhanded kind of ways. And they've released this book, and I was like, oh good, and it's 16 hours long.
Yeah.
I've got 10 hours left, and I'm so bored. The book's good, but it's like have a battle, we've lost. Have a battle, we've lost. Have a battle, we've lost. It's like, oh, we've won. Oh no, we're losing. And it's like there's loads of these little battles that happen, and the narrator is like struggling because every narrator's only got a handful of accents to do. But when you've got a book that's like throwing all of these names, all these characters with all very similar names, and because like some of the voices sound similar, I'm like, I don't have a clue what's going on. I don't know who any of these people are anymore because they all kind of sound a bit the same. So I was like, I'm bored now. I give up, and I moved on to one of the Dawn of Fire series books.
So Dawn of Fire is what I've started. Avenging Sun.
Yeah.
Avenging Sun is the book that I'm currently listening to.
Well, because they've released some new Dawn of Fire books. I'm going to go check to see what it's called. Because so far, it's quite good.
Chat, we're on 42 gifteds right now.
Hang on.
Look at you people, even with the YouTube fuck up.
The Martyr's Tomb, which is Black Templars and Sisters and Guard.
We're on 42 gifteds, you beautiful humans. Thank you, people. Get you go.
Yeah. New Siege stuff. More cool new units for... But that's the good thing about Age of Sigmar that 40k doesn't have. That, yes, the detachments that come out might be a bit samey, but we're going to lose a bunch of units for each army, which I think is a given, and then we're just going to get new units. And they could just do that. They could be like, here's a new unit that now exists.
We don't know that for a fact, though.
I know, but I think it's a given. They gave new units to Scaven out the doors. They just invented a bunch of new units for Stormcast.
Yeah, you mean after removing loads of other units and saying, yeah, we need to purge from the data sheets.
Yeah.
You had to access to too many. Oh, by the way, here's loads of more new ones.
I did, but I think there's going to be a massive thinning down of characters for cities. Because like, not cities, for Stormcast, like they're like, we've got 47 characters, they all kind of do the same thing. Now they're like, we've got 47 models for the same character.
I fucking love Stormcast, by the way. Stop gobbling off about Stormcast.
I'm not gobbling off about them.
You are.
I'm just saying.
You are.
A lot of their characters just do the same
If
job.
I was being this mean about cities, you'd get all upset.
And so they're like, we're going to take these 10 models. They all have the same data sheet. They're all the same thing now. Which I think is cool. What's your problem?
They only give you 3 shoulder pads for things that are like Gravis shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Right? But I want to take 2 units of 6 blade guard.
Yeah.
One of the 3 shoulder pads has a sergeant's insignia on it. I can't give that to a normal guy,
Yeah,
Joe.
but one could be a 2 NTA.
No, that's not how it works. It's got to be correct.
You just have to buy 3 packs then.
Yep.
To have lots of sergeants.
No.
And then give the skull ones to, I don't know, characters.
Yeah, characters can have them. That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
So they
Sam.
thought about it with the small ones because you've got 6 pads, one's a sergeant. They thought about it with them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, who?
Sam Deacon. He says, do you think AOS is going down the computer game route? No new rules, just updates, new detachments, data sheets. If the rule set's fine, I don't see that as being a problem. So Bolt Action is getting its first new edition in.
We have to. So I think
10
no.
years.
I think that's not what's going on. And the reason why I think that is because you have to think how they're going to be delivering that.
Yeah.
So how are they going to deliver that? So you've already bought your Battletome.
Yeah.
You've already spent your stupid amount of money on a book, right? Because it is, really, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, by the way, here's those new rules.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, no, I've got them, Sam. I've got those 5 sets. I don't know if I'm going to be okay. I should be okay. I might need one more.
More sets.
Yeah, because I need to have the right
What
shoulder
I find,
pads.
I said this before stream. I find it really weird that for the ones I've got, the Salamanders, the Raven Guard, and White Scars upgrade packs all come with 2 sprues and transfers.
Yeah.
The Ultramarines one comes with 1 sprue
And no transfers.
and no transfers. But then at the same time, every Space Marine box set that you buy comes with Ultramarine transfers in it.
Yeah, which is fine, but I don't want to use transfers. I want to use molded pads.
Yeah.
Which I'm having a real problem with Eradicators and Inceptors at the moment.
I think
they
every chapter should get a box set upgrade sprue. Like
But
how.
what they've done as well, they've gone, here's your Primaris upgrade sprue, right? Here's 6 shoulder pads for normal intercessors, and here's 3 that are for aggressors.
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't actually have any shoulder pads that are strictly for heavy intercessors or Inceptors or Eradicators.
What helmet's in that? Is that a Primaris helmet in there?
Yeah,
Primaris arm.
with an Ultramarines.
6 is a weird number. All the other ones come with 10.
Well, 6 makes sense if you're going to, because if you put 1 sergeant and then 4 of those, and then the next box you put 5 of those, you've got 10-man squads.
Yeah.
But it's a really bullshitty, like, the thing is, these ones, the Ultramarine ones, have got these, like, shield guards around the edge because they're 4 aggressors. So I put the first 2 on the first 2 Eradicators and they fitted perfectly. I was like, cool. The next one, his armor was, like, a bit further up.
Yeah.
And so if I couldn't put the shoulder pad on because it just clashed with the backpack.
Yeah.
So I had to snip it. I have to snip a shoulder pad down to get it to fit. And I'm like, at this point, I've already put 2 on. The other 2, I'm so fucking irritable. Why can't they just what's mostly clickbait? It's not clickbait. There's nothing clickbait about the title. The AOS Battle Tomes are flat worse value than 40k.
Yeah.
There's no clickbait there. You get less content now than you do. So AOS Battletomes used to give you significantly more content than 40k and were flat better value. Now you get less painting guides, less faction rules. You get less. They're worse battle. There's no clickbait there. They are worse value than 40k codexes now.
Unless, arguably, you get the player pack, the Gamers Edition. I like the Gamers Edition of the Battletome, the one that comes with like the no rules version of the Codex of the Battletome. You get all the cards.
No, apparently it does have all the narrative in it as well. It's just softback instead of hardback.
Really?
I don't know how true that is.
Did anyone get it? Is the book smaller? Because if it is more of a small profile one, I like that idea.
I like hardback.
I know, but I'd like the idea of having a book that I could just bang in a bag.
I feel like Gamers Edition's a gimmick.
I like it.
I said mostly clickbait, not entirely clickbait.
Yeah. I like the version of it. But the problem is if the card, because you're buying the cards to just get the new characters. I do like the fact that you get cards, book, and code all in one. without starting the code argument.
Oh, don't, Joe.
Because that camp is very, very stuck in its ways. And that's fine. Where's he going? Yes, full book, but just smaller. See, I like that idea. I think that's great. So I think the Gamers Edition is probably the best value current book that they do. So it's only bad value if you buy the hardback, I think. Although you could only buy the Gamers Edition direct from Games Workshop. So
I would rather have the hardback.
yeah,
I prefer a hardback book.
I suppose it depends on what you want. Maybe you buy both.
No.
So you've got one for home, one
Joe,
for
stop talking nonsense. You shouldn't have to buy both.
one for home, one for travelling, and there you go.
I feel like you're trying to make me angry today.
But it depends on how many armies you collect, right? Because, for example, if you're like us and you have all the armies, not all the armies because we're still building and painting them all, it's just not feasible to buy two. But if the only army you collect is Scaven, you don't have a 40k army, you go, yeah, I can buy both.
I don't know anyone who's buy both.
Because you'd be like, I'm gonna have a hardback edition, which is gonna be in my house for the next 3 years. I'm gonna have the small softback version and the data cards, which I can take to tournaments with me. And I've got a version of it on my tablet. If it's the only army you do, I think it's a worthwhile investment to have both.
Well, I mean, you're very welcome to your opinion. I strongly disagree. But
Yeah. But it's like I know a lot of people out there who only have one army and they'll invest in everything for that one army because they're really passionate and they really love it.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But buying two of the same thing, one hardback, one softback, is no, I don't know. I don't think that's a good investment. But then Games Workshop, I think, fucking prey on the fact that people aren't very good at making good
that's like the
investments.
same. It's like the same as the people that have a PlayStation and a PC.
I
That
bought.
buy the same game twice.
I've never done that actually. I bought the limited edition Eldar Codex, and I took that one to events.
Yeah,
I know it's ripped, but that wasn't me. That was Brom.
yeah. But
I didn't rip it. I just wasn't a ham-fisted fucking dickhead with my book. So I managed to not rip the book.
yeah, but like I've got the limited edition version of the Chaos Space Marine book, so I probably won't get the other version. But then if they turn around and went, here's a softback version of it, I'm like, I might be interested in that. A smaller version. It's like the rule book. The rule book they could do with.
But is it? I don't think it's even that much smaller, is it? It's just softback.
No,
I don't think it's like A5
Someone said
size.
it's smaller.
I'd like to see an actual size comparison of
Yeah.
them. I was under the impression it's near enough the same size. It's a little smaller in stature, and it's softback instead of hardback. In which case, it's not really a space saver. Maybe I'm wrong. I am also conscious that I am today grumpy.
You are a grumpig. You are the Pokemon pig. These go together real easy.
Yeah, they're nice, aren't they? I forgot you didn't build them the first time, right? I built the Stormcast for you,
You
didn't
built
I?
the first ones. You didn't build them for me. You were going to do them, and then you're like, I'm bored now.
I wasn't bored now. I wanted to keep painting them. I just wasn't doing them quick enough to get them on the channel.
And
We're still going to have a bastardization of gold and silver tonight
but
because of late, Joe's just been interested in painting Joe things.
yeah, because I'm the best.
He can focus on expanding the Stormcast for a while soon.
I've nearly finished all the Blood Angels.
Yeah, I'm happy to let you do that first.
I've just got a few characters left to do. Well, no, I say a few. I've got
It's okay. I'm happy
I've
for you to
got
finish
one
the Angels first.
one character left to do, and then I need to get a new Mephiston model.
Why?
Because the one that I got off you, which was like you'd kind of half converted and was missing bits,
Yeah.
just doesn't look.
I've got one new in box at home you can have.
He's got like, I had to use a different head. It doesn't look right. And when you converted him, he was doing like that. All of his fingers are broken off.
Have they?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
So-
I've got a new in box one at home.
I'm gonna steal that from you. Steal it.
I'm an Ultramarine now.
Thank you, White55. It says Codex's Battletomes should contain no rules, only lore, army building tips, and painting guides. Rules should all be digital. Yeah, I can get with that. But then, I don't actually, no, I can't get with that.
I was about to say, Joe.
I can't get with that because I hate looking at a new army digitally.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I hate it. When we received the full version of the book from Games Workshop in digital form, I hate it. I really struggle to read it because we all know Games Workshop's formatting when it comes to digital anything is terrible. So when you scroll to the next page, it has to load, and then you scroll back up to it, it's got rid of it, and it has to load again. And I'm like, just load all of it.
If you download it,
yeah,
there's a way you can download it, and then it solves some of that problem.
Yeah,
but I'm typically similar. Yeah. So when we'll get the new PDF through,
yeah,
and I honestly don't really read it until we get the hardback.
I only read it, 100% honesty. I only read it if I care about the army. If I don't care about the army, like we'll have the chat of the people who are allowed to see the rules, and then they'll be like, oh, it's this, and I'm like, I don't care. But I was like, I'll be like, I'll go have a look, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But when you've got the physical book in front of you, you can go, okay, so I've got this character, so Age of Sigmar wise, who does he buff? Well, he buffs these 2 units. So instead of in the app, you have to go backwards, go find that unit, look at it, and then come out of it. You can't. You can't really compare, and then you forget something, and you have to go find him again. Whereas if you've got the book, you go, here's the character. Those are the 2 units you can do, and then you can literally just do that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And you're like, oh well, an enhancement might do that. So you can literally hold the 2 pages and then go look at the enhancements, and you're like, okay, it's just easier to build and figure out how an army works by just having the physical book in front of you. Plus, I find it really, maybe because I'm just old-fashioned in a weird way, where I'm like I find it easier to read paper. I get real bored and sleepy if I read.
I much prefer flicking through a codex to look at rules, and this has become part of my problem with 40k rules.
Yeah.
Because I would much prefer to grab the book from the shelf, flick back and forth through the pages to figure out what's going on with the army. And when I sometimes struggle with an index, it's because I don't have a book version of those rules to flick between and discover what's going on. And so it's easy. I find it easier to commit rules. I'm very good at committing rules to memory, but I can only do that. I find it easy to do that when I'm reading them in a book and looking at the synergy. The reason why I get so annoyed with 40k Codex, however, is because if we had the AdMech Codex right now and I was flicking through looking for synergies, guess what? They're all fucking wrong because they've all been updated.
What I'd like to know,
so bad.
I didn't check it at the time, and I wish I had.
Your pile?
My pile?
Yeah, even checked your pile.
I don't have piles. What I should have checked, and I didn't, is whether the Age of Sigmar stuff is in alphabetical order. My biggest hatred of 40k codexes, which I hope they fixed with Age of Sigmar, is they put it in fucking alphabet. I don't have a problem with the characters being in one section and all the other things being in another section, but just have it in alphabetical order. When it goes WAFTZS, and you're like, why?
I miss actually going HQ, Elite, Troop, Fast Attack.
That was so much better.
Support. I miss that.
And then
I really miss
some
that.
of the codexes, the physical code we've got, where they've actually put them in order of like, these are your battle line units, these are your other units, these are your characters, these are your elites, these are your heavy. But because HQ, Troops, Fast Attack, Elites, Heavy doesn't exist anymore, it doesn't make sense to new players. Because like, I've got friends who play the game now who joined in 9th edition. And then, so when they go to 10th, it's like, well, none of these things exist anymore. They're like, cool, I don't care, but it's like, it's not in order, so why does it matter? And it's just, it really, like, if you're going to put them in their old page slots of Elites, Fast Track, Heavy, have it on the page, or just have those things exist.
But then I think I really miss, and I think, if I'm honest, AOS, again, has just done a flat better job than 40k. AOS doesn't have, essentially, Fast Attack, Heavy, Elite, Vanguard. They do have characterization. They have hero, other unit.
Yeah.
It's literally all they have, right, nowadays. And yet, their list building, and despite the fact that it's essentially still glorified power level rather than actually points, their list building is significantly better than 40k. Because you have to fit things into regiments, and only certain other units can go with certain characters, and et cetera, et cetera. 40k is take what you fucking want, who cares?
Sam says, hey Joe, it's in characters battle line other. Yeah, but it's not. There's not an icon on the pages. It doesn't tell you these are all your characters, these are all your battle line, these are your other. So when you flick through it to pick up and just go like, and then to go find it, you don't. It's not. You'd have to put your own tabs in it in the book to say this is HQ, these are battle line, these are other. But even the others aren't in alphabetical order.
I don't think you're going to sell them.
But the app is in alphabetical order.
The app's in alphabetical order, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so disjointed. So in terms of the actual quality of content, it could be argued potentially that AOS has done a slightly better job than 40k. But in terms of amount of content, I think that AOS 1 is now worse value than 40k in terms of amount of content and variety of content.
I think I think that's fair. I think saying you get the same as what you're buying a book to get exactly the same as what you've already got. That's what you're getting from AOS Battle Tomes.
Essentially.
However, the quality of the book and the quality of the rules and the quality of the game is just better. The quality of the product. If you pick them up and you go, this one is just better, I think that's fine.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah. Only because, like I say, because I feel like AOS...
Marshall Jack, yes, I love Cogforts.
I feel like AOS rules writing team are in a position whereby over the course of its life, we're not going to have to see multiple updates to the rules. And we've seen this already. Like, we had a 16-page designer's commentary clarification document before 10th edition was released to the public. And we haven't seen anywhere near that level of clarification required for Age of Sigmar. Their rules writing team just do a better job. Just do a better job.
Oh, by miles.
Flat. I don't think anyone really can truthfully argue with that one. They just do a better job. But I do think, and I do understand a desire and requirement for balance. But I just think that.
Do you reckon that's better for longevity of the game? If they're playing it safe, and basically bringing out the same kind of stuff of what they had in the indexes, they know it's balanced, they know it works, they know it doesn't require pages and pages every. If you look at what they fixed so far, all they've really fixed is the manifestations, right? And the manifestation rules aren't in many places. I think the manifestations will probably be more on the out as things go forward, or they'll do an edition. They'll do a thing where there's no manifestations this season. That magic's gone off for a while, and I think by keeping things simple, it does require less updates. It does mean that people getting into the hobby will find everything so much easier.
But if people stop playing your game because they find it boring because there's less depth and there's less things, then you don't have to worry about putting updates anyway because no one's fucking playing it.
I think the depth is there.
Do you genuinely think there's depth in AOS at the moment?
I think
it's a good game.
Yeah.
I think it's a good system. I think it lacks depth and variety.
I think the depth is in army building. Well, so what we could be seeing is an old world problem.
I'm listening.
An old world problem, and it's also a weird Space Marine 2 problem. But so on the face of Age of Sigmar, it's just small sections of models. You don't get a massive amount of choice in your army, but the armies are really easy to build, or the rules are really simple, the game is really simple. So how it comes down to is how you choose units to go into your army and how you have those units interact on the table to win the game, ultimately.
Okay.
So it works really, really well as a fun, streamlined, pick-up-and-play game. It works incredibly well for tournaments. But you don't see the nuances from the outside. You only see it when you play it. So, for instance, my mate Dan plays Iron Jaws. And for the first 20 games, he just lost every single game. Every single game he played, he just got absolutely ruined. until he'd played enough games and played with enough units that he actually figured, it kind of clicked in his head. He goes, oh, that's how this army plays. These are the units I need. And now he's just absolutely annihilating everyone all the time. But ultimately, when you look at his army now to when the edition came out, it's not changed a massive amount. It's still the same models everyone else has access to. The missions still play kind of the same, but he's gone from losing to winning. But people don't see that.
Did he pay £6.5 for a course?
No.
No, because he's not stupid.
No. So, but he just played the game, just played it a lot.
Weird.
Went to a
Are you
tournament.
saying you can get better at playing a war game by just playing the war game?
Yeah, so like...
You're mental, Joe.
Yeah, but the problem is similar with Space Marine 2. From the outside, it just looks like a weird hacky slashy game. But when you actually play the game, you do find out that every class, every weapon, everything has a different nuance on timing or effect or a different role and how you build your characters and all the upgrades for your weapons and all the upgrades for your actually specific class Space Marine then make the game more exciting to play. But from the outside, it's just 6 operation missions where you kind of do the same thing. I think that's what Age of Sigmar is its problem. 40k is flashy because it has so many options. You could play assault armies, you could play combat armies,
Okay, so now I think we're starting to find the depth as to why, or we're starting to find the reasons at least as to why 40k is inherently more popular than AOS.
Yeah, so if you...
Not the setting, I think you're now nailing why.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
So I think the best example for any army, because it's not being broken down into multiple factions, is Soulblight Gravelords. Right, for Age of Sigmar. I think it's one of the better selling armies for this specific reason. It's one of the most popular. You can play all vampires. You can play all skeletons. You can play all big things. You can do horde. You can do vampires and skeletons. You can do big bats. You could just do an entire army of beasts. It has loads and loads of different playstyles within that one army. It has loads of choice.
Yep.
Plus, Soulblight Gravelords for a little while basically became the lieutenants of special edition models. They're like, here's a lieutenant, here's a vampire, here's a lieutenant, here's a vampire. And I think that's why a lot of people really like Soulblight Gravelords, because there's so much variation in it. The downside to it is it has no shooting.
I think as well, if I'm honest, Soulblight somehow managed to still hit the classic fantasy vibe.
Yeah, they've really...
So although they call it Soulblight Gravelords,
it's still vampire counts.
The vampires, the zombies, the werewolves, the skeletons.
It's classic undead.
It's classic undead, exactly, right? And I feel that's another part of the reason why that... So I don't necessarily disagree with you in terms of the depth of what you can do and how you can build your army.
Do you think... Whereas when you look at the other armies, like Ironjaws, like my Dan example, is that they're so limited on choice and they only have one specific playstyle. So people that play Orcs currently in 40k go, I really like Orcs in 40k. The Age of Sigmar Orcs look beautiful, but they're just a one-trick pony. But I also think that Age of Sigmar is really missing the classic fantasy tropes for armies.
Okay.
So you look at that. So we just said vampire counts are classic undead.
Yep, I agree.
Your stop animation or your D&D style vampires, bats, wolves, big half wolf men type things, ghoulies, and it's like that's classic, and that's why it's really really popular.
Yep.
There's no wood elf.
No. So I'm an elf fan.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, I really 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 like the Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
I quite like the Ideneth.
Yeah.
I fucking love the Lumineth.
Yeah.
But, and I love them because they're elves, but they're not elves.
Yeah.
And if they were to say, I've got all 3 armies, I've got a huge collection of Lumineth at home, which at some point when I stop painting my Space Marines, if that ever happens at the moment, I want to go back to and keep building them and start painting them. I've got some of them sprayed already. If they were to say, however, here's a classic Wood Elf faction in AOS, or here's a classic High Elf faction in AOS, they'd be swept to one side in no time at all.
The problem with Lumineth is they're not high elves; they're cow elves.
They're a version of High Elves.
They're a version of high elves, but they're not
High Elves.
They're not high elves. they're high elves who really like cows and wheat.
They're like the high elves ginger step cousin.
And they're beautiful models. But when you go into a Games Workshop store, you like fancy stuff, and you go, oh, I really like elves. I've got a wood elf for D&D, and he's really cool. And you go into Games Workshop and you go, I want to do elves, and Games Workshop goes, here's S&M elves, and they really like blood. You know, here's blind elves who ride on sharks, big Aquaman fans. You know, and you've got cow elves, and they're like. Would you say then that AOS, in an attempt to be different enough, so let's be honest, we all know why they wanted to be different. Yeah.
Right? Intellectual property.
Yeah.
So what you can do with the Lumineth Realm Lord, which you can't do with a High Elf, is you can slap intellectual property all over it and be like, ours, no one else can touch it, okay? Can't do that with a High Elf. And I think their desire to do that, and therefore be a bit out there, has pushed it so far away from classic fantasy that they might be missing out on what people perceive as classic fantasy.
Because
they might have gone too wild.
Yeah, because Cities of Sigmar are doing really well now. Because they've gone, here's generic humans in big metal bowl hats, big chest plates, sword shields, done. You know?
The thing is,
they're hitting the Empire stuff that people really, really like.
I'm really torn though, genuinely, Joe, because I really like the Lumineth vibe. I like the Sylvaneth vibe. I like the tree spirit. Like, I feel like nowadays, where they've come a little bit full circle, I guess, and you're now in a position where you've got all the Revenant stuff, all the spirits coming out of trees. They're kind of closer to being old school wood elf, not quite, but. Yeah. It's less like giant tree man, that's it.
Yeah, well, Peter Bratt says, not Peter Bratt, Edward says there's 100% no good elves and dwarves. I really like classic old world fantasy dwarfs. I love hammerers, I love iron drakes, I love the miners.
Joe loves miners?
I love miners, they're the best. And I think that's why I really like old world dwarves, because I'm like, these are the dwarves I like. These are your classic dwarves. I absolutely hate with a passion Fire Slayers.
Well, I
hate the model range.
I don't hate them.
I think the models look stupid. Because when you look at classic Slayer dwarves, they're so Fire Slayers are kind of there but not. They're like we can try but we're not thing. I don't mind having the Urgol thing printed into them, like stapled in, but the poses, they're all like that. They're all like two-dimensional kind of things. They haven't got the strength in their little tiny stubby legs to like jump or leap. There's no dynamicness in that army, and they've all got these stupid. I just think if they'd gone for classic Slayer look, they would have been fine.
So the only way for me, at the moment at least, AOS is in danger. So I wanted to do AOS for years, as we know. And before 4th edition was even a thing that we were aware of was coming out, I thought AOS was in danger because of the release of Old World. And then they went, here's Old World. Yeah, it's all the old kits. And I've got so spoiled with the model kits we have for things like 40k and AOS nowadays. I was like, yeah, AOS is no longer in danger. Because I can't get on board with Old World's old model kits. I know you're fine with it. I know a lot of people feel a lot of nostalgia for it. I can't get on board with it. And then did you see what was announced on Sunday?
Well, someone's in a post here. I saw it in the corner of my eye. Sir Stromming Fish said, still can't gift, but what are your thoughts on the new Lord of the Rings box?
Oh my fucking God.
That's sexy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We are in very real danger as part of our Fantasy Tuesdays bringing Middle Earth to
I don't think people will have a problem if we rotate Lord of the Rings and AOS.
We can also rotate 40k and Heresy, for example, in the future.
Yeah.
We're a way off, right? Because armies, but oh my God, I saw that box set. I saw the Rohirrim first, and I was like, and you know, people know what I'm like for Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh my fucking God.
Look at her. But
my biggest issue that I've ever had with Middle Earth, because so many people have told me it's the best rule set they've ever made, right? So many people have told me that. My biggest issue I've ever had with Middle-earth as a game, I've said this repeatedly, is the old models, the shitty models, right? And then I saw this new box, and I was like, if they're doing this, oh shit.
If they go, because obviously it's the Rohirrim 1 foot, which is stunning.
Beautiful.
Resculpts, right? And you've got to think, those kits are not nearly... They released the Rohirrim when they did Two Towers, which was 2003, 2002?
Yeah, about them.
Because the films went year 1, year 2, year 3. There was no 2-year gap. It was literally boom, boom, boom. So I think they came out of the Two Towers. So it's about 22, 21 years old.
I'll put it this way. If they don't send me those models, this is one of those rare occasions where if they don't send me those models, they don't send me that box, I'm buying it. Probably too.
Yeah. We need to get all the houses as well and the walls. Have you looked at Lord of the Rings terrain?
You're not going to have to persuade me too hard, Jay.
Oh my God.
And the thing is, if they start resculpting and re-releasing the model range for Middle-earth, what are we then getting on tabletop? High elves, wood elves, dwarves that look like high elves, look like wood elves, look like dwarves.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get wood elves for Lord of the Rings because they were Hobbit, weren't they, when they brought in the Lothlorien elves?
That doesn't mean we're not going to see them.
But the Lothlorien elves are stunning models. I think we'll get new Rohirrim on foot, Rohirrim horses, and what I want is Rohirrim Guard, the Royal Guard, because those old metals are they're showing their age, but they're still stunning. Oh my God, it'd be so great. But the hope is if they're going to do that, then we get new Men of Minas Tirith, get new Men of Minas Tirith and horses, new Uruk-hai, new goblins, maybe new rangers, new Dunedain. Mr. the War Hipster, I talk to him not every night, but
more than
nights.
you talk to me normally.
I talk to you every day. I talk to you both every day. Don't get jealous. I talk to so him and Adam are big Lord of the Rings fans, and they didn't have to try very hard, and they were pushing me to get the Battle Force boxes for Lord of the Rings, which are incredible value for money. What you get in those box sets, but I was like, I want to do Rohirrim, so I was like, I think we've got Pelennor Fields knocking around somewhere.
We do.
And
I
was like, but then I'd have to get more Rohirrim, and I was like, but the new box is on the way. I want to see what's in it.
Yeah, wait for that. Wait for the new box.
I want to see, because I was like, I don't want to invest and paint loads of Rohirrim to have new Rohirrim models come out.
I can facilitate you having Rohirrim.
What I'd love to do is Rohirrim, and I've got some of the terrain at home. It belongs to someone else, but we might just have to steal it. I've got the Osgiliath Minas Tirith terrain, and
who's it belong to? I'll just buy off them.
If they do, Osgiliath veterans, milk everywhere, floor to ceiling, just. It's one of those games I've always wanted to play, but I've never had anyone to play it with.
I would like to play it, but the model range just always put me off.
Yeah,
but
it just looks a bit shit. The whole thing, if it gets new models,
it's getting a significant refresh. It will take a lot longer. It's not going to be 40k speeds that they're going to get refreshed. But if they start refreshing the model range, I've always wanted an excuse. I've always wanted an excuse to paint a Gandalf.
Yeah.
Always.
Helm's Deep Wood Elves I had to buy. They did Helm's Deep Wood Elves. They weren't Wood Elves in Helm's Deep, were they?
I don't know.
I thought they were
I don't think so.
Elrond elves.
Films,
but they're not Wood Elves, are they?
They're from Rivendell.
Yeah.
But they're not Wood Elves.
But they're not. I thought because the Wood Elves, I thought they were Mirkwood.
Yeah, because they're from the Woodland Realm. Hence he says Legolas of the Woodland Realm. Well.
Yeah. But the Wood Elves that they did for the Hobbit were very, very nice, and their guard with the cool pointy hats looked cool as well.
See, we have different. I feel like a lot of the oldest kits, and when I say old, I don't necessarily mean just like the ones from 20 years ago. I mean most of the Lord of the Rings kits. They've just had weird proportions, hands, faces. Well, they've had a lot of derpy looking faces as well.
The problem they've always had is a lot of it was hand sculpted, and so the new kits have quite clearly had a bit of the old CAD.
Yeah, they definitely had a flash up on that.
And obviously they've got that arrangement with New Line Cinema, haven't they? Warner Brothers. So their scale is slightly different to be separate from 40K and Old World. So there's this weird thing, right? So Games Workshop can't have images of Lord of the Rings models, terrain, scenics involved with 40K or AOS product on their website at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I painted some models for a friend. I was a Knight Army. There was a Knight Army that I had and then sold. And he took that Knight Army to a tournament, and then they was going to go in for Best Painted. They got nominated for Best Painted. And he goes, we can't take pictures of it though. We can't, so it can't win.
Oh, it was a Games Workshop event?
It was a Games Workshop event. A Games Workshop, like, we can't take pictures of it, it can't win the event for Best Painted. And he was like, why? It's because you've got Lord of the Rings stuff on the bases. And we just can't have them up at the same time. So, so I think that's the reason why the proportions are different. But at the same time, I used to have like the Helm's Deep Aragon. I converted him into an Inquisitor.
Did you?
Yeah, because he's got like the same. But at the time, I was collecting Elysians, and the Lord of the Rings scale was quite close to because the Elysians were still quite tiny.
So the actual scale I'm not bothered about.
Yeah.
The whole scale is different, but I felt like the proportions of things like hands and faces.
Oh yeah, it was very classic, like sculpt bodies, and then they had like a tub of heads and a tub of hands.
Yeah, they were the wrong
process,
fucking
and
size.
Bloop, bloop, and there was like quite Wallace and Gromity.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the problems I had with it. Then I saw these new ones come out, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in danger."
All the new characters they've done recently, though, are really good, but they're designed for the new proportions. So we've got Theoden knocking about. Well, he'd been the Pelennor Fields box set. He's really nice. Not the last one, but the box set that came, the Osgiliath stuff, came with like Faramir. He'd be part of the new scale as well.
Do you think if they do a decent resculpt stroke re-release of Lord of the Rings, do you think that in itself potentially puts AOS in a little bit of danger? Or do you think that that AOS is going to be fine no matter what?
I think AOS is going to be fine. It's just going to kind of truck along. I think the biggest threat to the AOS release currently is Space Marine 2.
I mean,
in terms of timing.
We've not helped that.
We haven't helped that, no. Right? But if you're trying to push your fun fantasy game and you're like, let's get this release done, let's get this good, we've got the new books coming out, then Space Marine 2 drops, and everyone's like, everyone in the entire world is like, Space Marines are fucking cool. Space Knights are the future, you know? Walking cement mixers, that's the way forward. You know? And then I think, and then people were like, these birdmen aren't cool, they're not.
I mean, they are.
They are cool.
They're fucking cool.
Yeah, but they're not as cool as a jump pack and a Thunderhammer.
That's fun.
That's fun. I think it's just really badly timed. And then also, talking about terrible timing.
But how's that bad timing? Because surely they know when the release of this stuff's coming.
They do.
Surely Games Workshop themselves would have had a hand in. I feel like for 40k specifically, the timing of Space Marine 2 is actually perfect.
I know, but also Games Workshop, I feel like really missed the boat on the Space Marine 2 release as well.
They're shit at supporting their own products.
Space Marine 2 comes out, why is there no box set available in the UK with all the characters from Space Marine 2 in it? Why isn't there Titus and his two really, really emo chums that just berate him the whole time? And then the chaplain, Potato Head Leandros, why is he not there? Like, why is Captain you can only have 3 men? Why is he not in the box?
Oh, Captain 3 Men?
Yeah. He's like, this entire planet's being invaded. We have to go kill a sorcerer and literally hundreds and hundreds of rubric marines. He's like, you can have 3 men.
Yeah, but now GW will be like, see, this rule of 3 for Primaris.
Yeah, makes sense. and then it's like, oh, that's getting really bad. He's like, you can have 6 men. That's 3 times 2.
Yeah. Well done, Joe. Good maths.
Maths, big maths. And why wasn't there a special Hive Tyrant model?
We haven't got through everything, have we?
What?
We're quite a way off of getting through everything.
We've still got a few.
Okay,
things.
cool. I was looking at the time, and I'm hungry because
Okay.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, basically, why didn't they just do a Space Marine 2 release box set?
Fair question.
It literally only needed to have 5 models in it. Chaplain, 3 normal Space Marines.
They didn't even need to do. I mean, they didn't need to do that. They could have just. I mean, to be fair, they could have just released a Titus model. They've made one. I've got it coming from America.
I don't think it's very good, that model.
I think it's shit.
I think it's terrible.
I've bought it. Well, I think it's shit comparatively.
What? Right. Why wasn't it? Because his pose is really good. Like he's jumping through the air with a chainsword. Why wasn't there an option on the sprue for normal backpack, jump pack?
Well, yeah.
Why isn't there a Thunderhammer, power sword,
I
heavy
need to
bolter, plasma
see.
pistol?
I need to see the actual model in hand because although I think it's terrible, I've also only really seen it from Games Workshop photos, and we know how that goes. So I need to see the model in hand, but I'm like, there's so many cooler poses. The Display have started releasing a bunch of Space Marine 2 displays. I don't know if you've seen them. And there's ones of him leaping into hordes, leaping into hordes of Tyrians. I'm like, that's a better pose.
I really want some of those display things because they're just really pretty. But it's like, why wasn't there a box? They've re-released Kill Team, right? Why isn't there a Space Marine 2 Kill Team box set? Like a guy with a heavy bolter, a guy with a multi-melter, a guy with a jump pack with a Thunderhammer, a guy with a plasma gun.
I still feel like they could just a Titus and release him
with all the weapon options
at 25 quid. They would have made bank.
Yeah, because just buying that box set as
Here's
Mr. Conversion. Why is there not a new standard bearer with him with the bolt pistol?
Here's the other thing as well. How many people who don't know the game really, who want to get into the hobby, will go, I'm going to go find the model of Titus.
Yeah.
And they can't. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. There's a Space Marine 2 game was only available in America.
But Space Marine 2 as a game also has done record things for the company. Right? They've done incredibly well out of it. It's sold very well. It's been very well received. And I'm chuffed for them because it is a good game. But Games Workshop didn't really do anything.
There was 2 posts on the Games Workshop website about Space Marine 2. One was about the fact that it existed. Another one was that go and play Space Marine 2. There's literally 2 posts. And then they did a video on YouTube, which you can only find through the Warhammer Facebook page about where we're converting up some Space Marine 2 characters. And like, here's the heavy with a multi-melter. It was literally just an aggressor.
Yeah, it's bad. That content's bad. Yeah. That's a video they should not.
That's not a conversion. It's like all he did is we gave him a salamander's shoulder pad and a salamander's hat, and it's like
cool. What he did is he actually he supposedly made his own characters from the multiplayer.
Yeah,
he didn't do a very good job.
It's like just like if you're anyone with any level of like marketing experience, please go to Games Workshop and slap them and then tell them how to do it properly. It just grips my shit.
Anywho, we've got more to get through because I want to...
Thank you, Joe Swenson. Big yerp.
Thanks, Joe. Love you, Joe.
Thank you.
Love you, Joe.
Thank you, Tank the Unknowing, for getting membership.
Thank you, mate. What a legend.
He's a good egg.
Up to 39.
We spent a weekend with him.
No, 43.
Yeah. He stayed in our hotel.
43? Yeah, 43.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tank.
With us.
Little sex pig.
Thank you, Rick-1. He says, just got into AOS after seeing your guys' enthusiasm. Got into MKON? Magakin of Nurgle Spearhead. Hopefully you keep doing the content for it. Keep up the good work. I'm going to play Magakin tonight. But it's all demons because that's all we've got. We haven't got the human counterparts. We will eventually get the human part of it.
We basically have a
million.
40k Nurgle. We're making it work.
Yeah.
I don't have any intent to ditch AOS anytime soon.
I would like us to be the only people doing it. As long as we're getting like
800 gifted,
200 people watching. As long as we can hit the minimum target of money made per stream, I think it's fine.
So number of viewers is often less important than monetization. I'll be straight up. I'm always very honest about this stuff. Number of viewers is irrelevant. Same as I don't like. I'm
doing it for a week.
Oh.
I'm leaving.
I was literally talking to you.
I know, but you can talk to them. You can say the same thing.
Well, I talked to them anyway about it.
Well, talk about something else for a minute.
Has he actually muted himself as well? Necrorunner greater than 30k, greater than AOS, greater than 40k. I don't think so. I don't agree. I love AOS, never play 40k anymore. Apart from Space Marine 2, lol. I am on a real 40k hype at the moment, but I still love AOS. I'm concerned about its depth, but Brodicus, thanks, man. Making the show slightly less disastrous. YouTube causes some real problems this month. And they don't seem to care. Thank you so much for the 20 gifted, you absolute legend. I'll get Joe to give you a wish when he gets back. I'm starting to, because of the venture into AOS, I'm starting to get more interested in other game systems. The problem with us as a channel is time and money investment into building and painting models and armies and stuff to play any other game, whether that be Necromunda, Middle-earth, Kill Team, Warcry, etc., is difficult to take that risk and gamble without knowing what the result's going to be like. And sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to take the gamble, take the risk, and go for it. And we kind of did that with AOS. I was nervous about bringing AOS for years. I wanted to bring it for years, and I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off because 40k was our safety net. And thankfully, the state of 40k plus what felt like the most exciting edition AOS has released yet is why we took the leap. And thankfully, it's done okay. It's done well. And I like to think that, I mean, Kai said this a while ago in the Thanes, I think, we're less of a 40k channel nowadays and more of a trying to be an entertainment channel, an entertainment business. So we can play anything and you have fun. When we've got people like Peachy turning up and bringing Warcry with him so we can play it, that gives us a free try, and I like that quite a lot. When we get John turn up and lets us play Heresy, which I really want to get into, it gives us a free try. Amazing.
I'm back now.
Much, much betterer.
Betterer.
So I want us to bring more games in over time, and maybe we don't have AOS Tuesdays and 40k Thursdays, and maybe it becomes Fantasy Tuesdays, Sci-Fi Thursdays. And Fantasy could include Warcry, and it can include...
What about historicals?
I'm less bothered by historicals. There's a crowd that historicals attract, which I don't think I can be bothered to interact with.
Sexy bastards.
And I don't think they'd like me very much. I don't think they'd like me very much at all.
I want to play Bolt Action.
There's a crowd for Bolt Action that I don't particularly want around the channel either.
Yeah, but not...
And since we've got their leader already plays 40k.
But there's also like a crowd of people that would like it, that aren't douchebags. You're going to get douchebags whatever game
At the moment, I am perfectly okay with slowly moving towards Fantasy Tuesdays and Sci-Fi Thursdays. I don't care for historicals right now. And if you think about what that opens the door to in terms of Heresy, Necromunda, 40k, Kill Team, AOS, Warcry, Middle-earth, like we've got a lot to do. We're well behind anyway. I say behind. We're not behind because we're not supposed to be anywhere by now. But I'm like... This is what I was saying in the chat before you came back, was playing AOS on the channel and playing Warcry on the channel, playing Heresy on the channel, has gone, you know what, we can play other games and it can be fun. Yeah. And I feel like where we might do okay with AOS compared to other channels is because we, as I've said to chat, we're trying to be an entertainment business ahead of just being a 40k business nowadays. Where originally I was like, I'm a 40k channel. Yeah. And now I'm like, we're trying to be an entertainment channel. We can, no matter what we play, you know, so there's that.
Like WWE.
What was I saying to you before you disappeared? I said I was talking to you and then you went away.
About...
I don't remember now.
Getting new models.
No, I don't think that's what it was. It'll come back to me at some point.
I think it was like having different stuff on the thing. I don't know. Thank you, Brian. This is. I read this one before I left. I was like, oh, I actually want to talk about that. Friends and I are new to 40k in 10th edition.
Okay.
Right. There's more to this.
Okay.
Our group of 4 to 5 people is struggling to find the balance between fun and competitive. How do you balance? I think before you play your games, you have a talk about what models you bring in, what you want out of that game that night.
That's already going to be harder though if you're new to 40k from 10th edition.
Well, if you're trying to do competitive, right? If you're trying to do competitive, I would assume you are already looking at or running some of the better versions of things.
I think if you're new to 40k as well, the problem. So we have what we do on the channel. There's times when they'll post the lists in the team chat, and I'll look at the list and I'll be like, nope, not playing that one. Yeah. Change your lists. Because you look at it, you're like, this is going to be an absolute fucking dick kicking contest. And if one person gets the upper hand, it's going to be a whitewash, and it's not entertaining. So I'll say, no, change lists. And then Brom will put a different list in, or Joe will change his list or whatever. Joe and I, when we're playing, we'll have a conversation and we'll put models together. We'll look at each other's armies because it's not a tournament. We can do that. We can go, if I take this, with what you've got there, you can't kill it, and it's not a fun game, right? So having a conversation is the right move from Joe, but it's going to be harder if you don't know the game.
But I also think if you're new to the game, and I don't want to discourage you, but at the same time, I think it will be helpful. Is if you're new to 10th edition, you're new to the hobby, and you're playing with your friends, and you're not going to events, I would not look at competitive play to begin with.
I agree.
I think you should buy the models you like, go, that's cool, I want to buy it, I want to build it, and you just play the game for the excuse of rolling dice and having fun. Obviously, once you've played a couple games, you can start going into that competitive talk, and you can talk competitive when you're not playing. But if you just want to have fun, put the models you like on the table and get used to running them. Once you're more used to running specific models, specific armies, you can then balance the game between yourselves and be like, well, last time you bought that, it was horrible for me. I didn't enjoy it. And then you'll probably go, cool, well, I'm going to bring a version of it, but it won't be as obnoxious. Because I like playing with that. I like playing with these models. I might move this character to that unit and then maybe run this unit, but a bit smaller. So I've still got the models I like on the table, but it's not going to kick your shit in. I think if you do that, you will all start to have a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And then what you can do, if you've all planned to go to a tournament or event, you go, today, you get together on a Saturday or Sunday or in the evening, whenever you can make it, and be like, tonight we're going to run our tournament lists, right? We're not going to get upset with each other. We're not going to get angry because these are the lists that we're bringing to win, all right? And we're all going with the same goal, to win and have fun. But you need to go in with the mindset of, I'm either going to go play to have fun, or I'm going to go to win.
The other thing, I think a lot of people will struggle with this, and I'm conscious that even after saying this, a lot of people will still struggle with this. But there is nothing to say if you get so let's say, for example, you're playing Space Marines versus Tyranids, right? And halfway through the game, you know that the Tyranids have lost, and you've already smashed most of his units into oblivion, right? There's nothing that stops you playing this game to say, right, you can bring back each of your Tyranid units on a dice roll of a 4+ or something.
Yeah.
Right? And you can go, we're going to build the Tyranid swarm into the game. So that actually your opponent's like, cool, I can still have fun here killing stuff, despite the fact that, because I think too many people are like, play Pariah Nexus, play Leviathan.
Yeah.
Like, you make up scenarios. And if you get halfway through the scenario, and you're like, this is very one-sided, change it halfway through.
Yeah.
Of course you can. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to be playing Pariah Nexus in tournaments, it's a bit more difficult to do that kind of thing, obviously. And then I think if you're trying not to be competitive, you do have that conversation. But also, there's this misconception out there that I hate competitive play and tournament players. It's not the truth. I think this particular version of the game is far too focused on tournament play and competitive players. I like tournament play. I just don't want that to be the only focus and the only way we play.
Yeah. You can...
More on that coming soon, by the way.
You can also say, oh, Dave's coming over with Tyranids, I'm going to run my Space Marines. We're not going to play Pariah Nexus. He's like, I've got a bunch of wall terrain. I'm going to make a base for my Space Marines. And Dave's just going to throw Tyranids at it for an evening. And we're just going to make sure that my captain ends up fighting his Hive Tyrant, or his Swarm Lord ends up fighting a Chapter Master or a special unit of elites, or like my special mission is to kill 100 Gaunts, and you just do it that way, just to kind of really, really mix it up a bit.
Get Vanguard Tactics on. I'd rather fucking suck off an angry cat.
With his barbed penis.
Exactly why I picked an angry cat. Yeah.
Or have one of those tiny fish that go into your urethra and then get stuck there and die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Go swimming in the Amazon. Right, thank you, Crumpets Panda, for 5 gifted memberships. I hope if you ever do find yourself in the Amazon, you don't get one of those penis fish in you.
Penis fish, is that what it's called?
I don't know what it's called, but it's the penis fish. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If you go swim in the Amazon, always wear a condom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Crumpets Panda. The late fee. Hope you're all doing well.
We're doing all right, mate. Thank you so much for the late fee, dude. What a legend.
He's less grumpy now. Thank you, Leckman. I think you're being a bit unfair. AOS has variety. It does have variety. We're not being unfair in the sense that it doesn't have variety. The problem is it's not recognizable variety for people that aren't within the hobby.
I don't think it's got that much variety.
I think there's a lot of, obviously you've got the 4 overarching factions, and then obviously you've got sub-factions within those. But when you boil it down, like when they split all the orcs up, and then they split all the death up, and then they split up all the elves, and then they split up all the order, I think, and then so when you play an army, you end up playing a very specific version of that army. So if you want lots of variety, you have to have lots of armies. But from an outsider looking in, who thinks they know fantasy, they're like, I like D&D, I like Lord of the Rings, I like Willow. You know, I want to go and play with some cool fantasy models. And then they go into a Games Workshop store, or they go to the Games Workshop's website. They go, none of this fantasy stuff looks recognizable to anything I know, apart from Death, apart from Cities of Sigmar maybe. And then they end up going to the Old World part of the website, and they go, well, this is more recognizable. However, I don't want to have to spend £500 on 1,000 points of 25-year-old models. They're like, I want to spend 300 quid or 200 quid on some beautiful models that I actually recognise.
I feel like at the moment it doesn't have a ton of variety, which for me was expected for Index. I think that they did a better job of putting variety.
I think you're using the word variety, or you're using variety right, but I think in terms of explanation, there's no variety within the armies.
Yeah, there's no depth.
Yeah, it's just
really. And I thought they had. I feel like the Index versions of AOS, they had better depth than the Index version of 40k.
Yeah.
To a point. 40k gave you one detachment, which was the only one you could use, unless you were lucky enough to be Dark Angels or someone when you got a second one. You had one detachment, you had one set of 6 stratagems, one set of 3 enhancements. AOS, that was your Index on 40k, right? Yeah. Now if you look at, let's take the worst case scenario for 40k, right, which is 4 detachments in a Codex. That's the worst case, because Space Marine's on the other end of the scale at 7 detachments, stroke 10 if you're playing someone like Dark Angels or Blood Angels. So you now have 40k, worst case scenario, 4 detachment rules, which is what you have for AOS, right? 4 battle formations.
So, by the way, someone in our chat role-playing as Angry Cat.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. So I'm just choosing to ignore it. So you have 4 detachments, which is no different to 4 battle formations, okay? In the worst case 40k Codex. Each of those detachments has access to 6 stratagems, right? Yeah. Which means there's 24 stratagems in the book, as opposed to AOS, where you just get some battle traits. Different number depending on your faction. Some have only got 4. Some don't have any that you can do during the game. Some are just pre-game abilities. But it doesn't change based on your battle formation. You just have those battle traits. That's it. That's all you got. Nothing else, right? You then get, in the 40k Codex, 4 sets of 3 enhancements that you get access to depending on the detachment you choose. And we're only using 4 detachments here because we're using the worst case scenario. Some Codex have 5, some have 6, some have more, right? Yeah. In AOS, you've got 3 artifacts of power, and you've got 3 heroic traits. That's it, no matter what detachment you pick. Yeah. So the worst case 40k Codex had significantly more variety and depth than the current AOS Index, but the current AOS Index was much, much better than the 40k Index, right? However, we've now seen the first Scaven Battletome come out. Yeah. No more heroic traits, no more artifacts of power, no more battle formations, no more battle traits. That's it, it's the same. There's a lack of depth.
But, right, I'll play good cop here.
Of course you can.
But Age of Sigmar is wildly more balanced. So the problem that 40k has, and the reason why people aren't having fun playing 10th edition, is that there's so much stuff in 40k currently that it's impossible to balance.
I don't know. I
think it's not because you give an army so many different things, different stratagems, different abilities. Some is going to stand out more than others, and people are going to tend towards those more broken things.
40k is in the most balanced place it's been in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, but it's still
Now, internally, codexes are facing imbalance, where you're seeing that detachment is just better than the rest because of the stratagems, because of the enhancements. But across win rates...
But to get to there, you have to have the codex, you have to have the cards, you have to have the app, you have to have a 47 or it's 60-page codex, or it's got a rulebook FAQ. Then you have to have the rules writers review.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to have the codex FAQ.
It's been a mess to get there, but 40k is not in balance right now. So what they're saying is they can have a balanced version with all that depth because it's currently balanced. Now, I agree with you. Getting to the state of balance has been an embarrassing journey for them, and they have released it when it's been frequently broken. Eldar launch of 10th edition, for example, right? So I'm not saying that the journey has been neat, but they have got to a place now, we're looking at win percentages, where the game is currently, 40k is currently incredibly balanced, and they have a level of depth in each of those codexes that have been released so far, and the game is still sat in a balanced state. We're still yet to see what happens when Codex Eldar comes out. We know what Belen plays them as well.
Do you think that the AOS team have looked at the embarrassment, which was the first 8 to 10 months of 10th edition, and gone, we don't want that?
No, because I feel like the rules at that point were already probably set in stone there or thereabouts.
Yeah. But they've gone, we don't want that. We want to have it a more balanced, by having a smaller pool of variables, it's easier to control.
Agree, strong agree.
Yeah.
100% agree with you.
And I think that's what they're
What's
trying to go
more
down.
important to the majority of wargamers, though, depth and variety or balance? I'd argue the actual perfect place for most wargamers, even those that aren't competitive players, is probably somewhere in the middle of both, to be fair. People want the level of variety that gives them the ability to just build their own army the way they want it to feel, look, play, but they also want a semblance of balance so they don't turn up against their mate, even in a casual game, and get the dick kicked in.
If you look at the Scaven book, though, right, you can play the different clans. Because the variety within the Scaven book is not in... Well, it's in its detachments, but then you go, what characters, what units do I put in there? So someone who's a real big fan of Clan Moulder, you go, well, I've got a character warlord that can go there. I've got a bunch of smaller level characters that go in there. Like Skaven clan rats are just Skaven clan rats. I'll just paint them with bits of green on them. And then you go, I take the Poison Wind Globadiers and I take this and like this artillery piece and this like war engine. So they can do it. They don't have a massive selection of models to do it, but they do have the option. And then someone goes, oh, I really like Storm Vermin. So I have access to a big Storm Vermin character, a couple low Storm Vermin characters, and then I've got infantry and a bunch of guns and stuff. So the variety's there, but there's just not fuckloads of it.
So Lee is absolutely nailed the way I feel about it. Third edition had more variety and depth in the Battletomes. They were simplified for fourth to encourage new players, which I think has done a good job, without doubt. I think they have oversimplified the game. I feel like the core game hasn't been oversimplified. The depth and variety coming from Battletome and factions is where I think they have oversimplified it. And they've gone too simple. I'd like to have seen more spell laws.
But do you think that's like I said, to encourage new players?
So it is. But if your core rule set does that job, do you need your Battletome to match? Because realistically, they've gone with this modular approach to the core rule set, which is where they can go. So here's your Battletome. Don't use spell laws and play Spearhead. Take out spell laws and take out the prayers. So you don't have to worry about that module because they've built a modular system. And then here comes the Battletome, and we've given you 3 spell laws now rather than just 1. Each faction's got 1 spell law. That's shit.
Yeah. Do you reckon they might bring in universal spell laws?
I hope so.
That aren't manifestation.
Because again, I feel like that's probably slightly better to balance, only because it's access to everybody.
Because one thing they lost from 3rd edition that I think is a bit of a shame was universal detachments. So if you took this detachment, then you could deploy all of them as one thing. Or if you took this detachment, then this unit can do a thing. Or if you take these 2 detachments, then your army gains this bonus. I think if they bought universal detachments, universal enhancements, universal battle traits, I think that would go a long way to helping people out.
Maybe.
Because like, say for instance, you play So Soulblight Grave. This is the example because it's the army I know the best. Soulblight Gravelords have 4 detachments or army rules. I only use 1 because I have no interest in the other 3. Because I really like vampires, and I think the vampire models are the best.
But that's not
skeletons
to say...
are kind of cool. If you play only skeletons, you don't play the army I'm running if you want to do well at tournaments.
So that's not to say that there isn't good internal balance there.
But it's at the same time, like how I build my army, I'm shoehorned into 1 detachment.
So that's bad.
So if there was a universal detachment, so I have to change my play style and I have to buy more models to use up, because lots of people use a detachment which gives you more models back, and everyone takes crypt guards and black knights because you're just constantly respawning dead skeletons that are also really, really good. But I don't like the models because they're really, really old from old world fantasy. So when that new book comes out, I'd like to see new models. But I am kind of stuck in one detachment, much like people. But I'd like to see new ones come out, but knowing that I won't also annoys me slightly.
Yeah.
Because if you're a Death Guard player now, you know your book's not coming for at least 6 months. To 6 to 8 months,
yeah,
minimum. But you know when your book does come out, you will get a new detachment. See, also, side note, Games Workshop not releasing any more 40k stuff for the rest of the year.
I mean,
apart from Blood Angels.
I can't say what I'm...
So they're not releasing any more 40k, right? Wink.
There's no more codexes.
There's no codexes. There's no Games Workshop's really, really high quality roadmap showed us nothing else for 2024. Nothing. So this is the time that you go, here is a new detachment for every index. Here is a new data. Here's a new, what's it called? What do they call them? Balance data.
Is there an army that you love for 40k that you haven't had a Battletome for yet? A Codex for yet? Guard. Cool. Okay. Guard.
Yeah.
You love Guard, right?
I love Guard.
So January time,
Yeah.
after they say, right, next Codex, Ashmore time, do you start getting excited about your book?
I'm excited about it now. I was in my garage the other day.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
just answer the questions for now.
All right, Mum.
Why would you get excited about your Codex? What are you excited about?
I'm getting new detachments, and I'm like, also I know that there's new models coming.
So based on the Scaven Battletome,
Yeah.
you get told in 2 months' time that Soulblight Gravelords are getting a new Battletome.
Yeah.
You're probably less excited. So you might get some new models, but you know your rules aren't fucking changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're less value.
But as my job on the channel, it isn't much less value for money. But I only play, as I've already said, vampires. So in my head, I now have to structure my mind in the sense of I've already got loads of vampires. We might get some new vampire models, so I'll definitely get those. But what I'm going to do is get all the models that I currently don't own that are relatively new models. So I'll get all the characters that exist. And then I go, well, do I start looking at skeletons?
Is it safe to say though? Is it safe to say that you're probably now in a place where you'll feel less excitement about Soulblight Gravelords Battletome than you would about perhaps the Ashton Retirum Codex? because yes, in both you might get new pictures of new models and new units.
Yeah.
You probably get that in both.
It depends.
But one of them's giving you a load of new rules, one of them isn't.
But I currently only have one way of playing Guard. I only have one detachment, whereas I have 4. I do have 4 detachments of vampires. Just because I haven't bothered to do anything else with the Soulblight Gravelords, I do.
I don't know.
Because we've had an entire year, and by the time the Guard Codex comes out, I'm guessing we don't know, right? I'm guessing it's going to be the first Codex out of them because it's literally the first picture, isn't it?
You can assume, by the way, if we talk about anything that's coming up or coming out, if we're talking about it on stream, you can assume we actually don't know.
We don't know anything about it.
Because we always say we don't know, and we don't know. Because if we did know, we would just not talk about it.
Yeah. So, but don't read too much into that either. Because people will be able to guess. So if it's the first one coming out, it would have been a year and 4 months of having one detachment.
Yeah.
If they went Soulblight Gravelords is coming out in January, I'll be like, I've had 3 months, 4, no, where are we now? It'll be 6 months, won't it? Of having Soulblight. So that's new, whereas as a guard player, having an entire year of only being able to do artillery car park, it's kind of a bit boring.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm going, do I get mobile guard detachment, which is all about chimeras and rough riders?
New jump infantry.
New jump infantry. Well, I'll build them on Thursday.
Yeah.
What bugs me is there's no 40k rules for those units yet. Batal there are, but not for the Scions.
We can just use them as scions.
I know, but I'd like to have a PDF by now.
I would like to finish the stream.
Thank you, Brodicus Maxicus, for 20 gifted
yeah, it's
memberships.
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I hope, Brodicus Maximus, that next time you go to a gadget shop, they're giving away free beer hats.
Oh,
Yeah.
strong. I'm getting into hats lately.
Your hairdresser, so now my hairdresser,
Barber.
said that I was doing a really good job of hiding my massive bald spot.
Yeah.
He was like, I wouldn't know you had the bald spot unless you told me.
Yeah.
But there will come a time when this bit here gets close to that bit there. And when that time comes,
Yeah.
I'm a hat man.
Do you
then.
feel like it's taking you longer to wash your face?
No, I just don't wash.
Fair.
That's like, I had a shower this morning, so the water just goes. Psh.
Oh, when I came in today and saw you, I was like, oh, we forgot we made Joe look pretty last week.
And but everyone takes a piss, but like, I make this reference all the time because I saw it on the internet. Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z has the same hairline as me, and everyone thinks he's cool.
I don't know who that is.
He's the guy with the big spiky hair, blue.
Okay.
But everyone thought he was really cool, but he's got a terrible receding hairline. Thank you, Sam Deacon. What's the update on pre-recorded?
I'm going to dye my hair white and then you'll never see a bald spot, really.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pre-recorded is a difficult one to tackle because I don't think there's any real value as a business. What I mean by that is, I'll touch on the topic very, very briefly because I'm conscious we're already 37 minutes over. What I mean by that is, I run a business. Businesses want to make money. Businesses need to make money. We have done a very good job. A lot of this is down to you lot that are watching right now in monetizing live streams. And we're at capacity for live streams. We do 7 a week. I do 7 a week. Joe's involved in normally 3 to 4 of those. Lucy's involved 2 to 3 of those. We do 7 streams a week. Which is more than most other channels out there on YouTube, full stop. Like not including a couple of outliers. For the majority of people out there that do YouTube for a career, they don't do 7 streams a week. We do 7 streams a week. So at streaming, we're at diminishing returns. I can't add more streams really. All that happens if I add more streams is it takes more time, more manpower, and it thins out the current revenue. We're not seeing any revenue growth this year really. We're seeing we until this month we've been seeing stable revenue, no real growth. So we now need to look at growth. And importantly, we need to look at revenue growth. Pre-recorded battle reports require at least 2 people in the studio to play, right? At least 2 people in the studio to play. And then I'd have to get it edited by another person because I don't have any interest in doing it whatsoever, which costs money, not a small amount of money. Is it going to see any revenue growth? No. Are we going to see subscriber growth? Probably, not definitely. Will we see subscriber growth that will then convert into revenue? Data historically has shown me no. The only way we actually do that is by paywalling content, which is pre-recorded. If I start paywalling content that's pre-recorded, I have to make double the amount of pre-recorded content because I have to make a free one that then sends you to the paywalled one. I don't want to paywall any content. Yeah. We're trying to do things differently on YouTube. But if you look at every other channel, almost every other channel, right, there is tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of channels that all go members-only content. Some of the bigger channels out there put more members-only. I think this is fucking. I love the people, but I think this is personally fucking dog shit. They put maybe 1 free piece out a week, maybe 2. The rest is all paywalled content. Yeah. All paywalled, and I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like paywalling content. So to take Joe out of painting for a day to film a battle report that might gain us 50 subs who probably don't turn into members or super chatters, it just doesn't seem worth it.
No.
we're better off focusing that time into vlogging or building more units and building more armies and adding more variety to our live content at the moment. So I'm not saying that pre-recorded is not on the menu. It's just not on the menu anytime soon. Yeah. I think it's something I want to add in the future. If I can increase revenue by, say, let me have a think about it, 20 to 30%, I could potentially hire another person. If I then hired another person, pre-recorded becomes a significantly smaller burden on the team in general. And then I think it potentially makes sense to start building that catalogue up. And it's the balance, right? I'm not saying I'm right here, by the way. It's just trying to get that balance right.
I think pre-recorded makes more sense if you've got guests coming in, but they have to be regular guests.
Well,
but they have to be famouses.
Pre-recorded also kind of makes sense if you have a degree of variety. So we talk about that extra hire.
Yeah.
We have variety then in the people that are playing the games. So at the moment, if we did pre-recorded, every single game would be me and you. Every single one without fail, because no one else can come in on a day that we'd want to film.
Yeah.
Everybody else who's on the channel is a volunteer. Everybody else who's on the channel has a full-time job.
Yeah.
Every other person. So it'd just be me and you the whole time. So I think we'll get there eventually. I think I'll add some pre-recorded content again in the future. And I'm already looking at how I do that, whether that's Battletomes, Codex, product reviews, news, whatever. I started with the Saga series. I'm struggling to get another guest in anytime soon for the Saga series.
I'd like to do...
The problem with the Saga series, when you only have 33,000 subs, is a bunch of other people just don't want to come down and do a Saga with you, despite the fact they've said yes 3 times.
I want to do like mini painting tip tutorials.
Yeah, I want to get you set up.
So instead of going, here's how to paint one of these guys, I'll go, here's how to paint silver, here's how to paint black, here's how to paint whatever, or how to do a good lens, or how to paint a bolt gun, just something, or how to edge highlight. I was thinking on the way over here, how to airbrush with do a tutorial on how I airbrush because everyone I talked about airbrushes always goes, they're really expensive, they're a lot of faff, and you go, well, you can buy a 30 quid one off eBay and be like, what can you do with a 30 quid one off eBay?
Yeah.
And like
how to simple basing tips and stuff like that.
Because I saw someone the other day like, oh, I'm so bored of basing like my guard army. Because he's like, oh, I was like, and everyone was like, get an airbrush. And he's like, yeah, but they're expensive. He's like, want to buy one for like 20, 30 quid off eBay and just burp the entire thing. You
said best £2. My thinking was for narrative campaigns. The thing is, even narrative campaigns, I don't think it fits us. If I'm honest,
I like narrative campaigns. The downside to narrative campaigns is that we do one 40k show a week, and if you do a narrative campaign, it's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks, and that's 4 to 6 weeks of the same army.
Yeah.
Or the same 2 armies.
Or you do it pre-recorded, and then there's a lot of time and effort goes into it. I don't think we're a channel that's going to be good at doing narrative campaigns, really. Doing narrative scenarios on stream where we're still playing Garage Hammer and having a laugh and taking the piss works. Doing narrative pre-recorded battle reports where we're trying to tell a story and be all serious and tabletop tacticsy, I don't think fits us. Because we're trying to be that live Top Gear entertainment type channel instead. So. But thanks for the 2 anyway, Sam. I love you.
Says, on Saturday, are you doing a watch show? What's on Saturday?
No. Saturday is the preview show at 5 o'clock.
I thought that was the week after.
No, it's Saturday.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought they said it was like the 5th.
Oh, no, it is the week after, yeah. No, you are right. What day is it today? 24th. Yeah, you're right. It's a week on Saturday.
I think it's a week Saturday.
Yeah, and still
we don't really do them. So the biggest problem with watch-alongs is you have to get on like an hour first. I'm saying this on behalf of Liam because I won't be doing it. Is you have to go out early, right? And this is not meant as an offence to Games Workshop, but it will be offensive. Their preview programs are dog shit.
Yes. And I think watch-alongs, personally, are also dog shit.
Because the people who are doing the watch-alongs are going to look at it, and if they show these people just prattle on about shit in between showing you a video and a picture to fill time, and you can't talk to the people who are watching you and listen to the people that you're watching at the same time. So basically, you have to sit there and just do that.
Yeah.
And then you go pause, and they talk about it, and then by the time you finish talking about it, the preview thing's finished because it's only 10 minutes long.
Yeah, their previews have got worse. So strong fish, I agree with you. But it's also like, oh, new model. Wow, that looks really nice. Oh, new model. Oh, wow, that looks really nice. Oh, there's more chat bollocks. This is bollocks.
Yeah.
Cool. There you go. I've just done the preview. You can literally take that and watch that instead. It's the same thing.
And it's like, oh, here's a picture of a new model. Let's talk to the man who didn't design it, but a man who's probably got more personality. But he saw this 3 years ago and is already bored of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think preview shows are bollocks.
They're not what they used to be. There's not 15 minutes and it's like, here's 2 new models and it's not very exciting.
I think preview shows are bollocks and I think watch-alongs are double bollocks.
I think there's too many preview shows. They need to do them every 3 to 4 months and save up, and they need to go, so in December, for instance, you've got Guard, Chaos Knights, Eldar. They go, here's all the new models for those 3 armies. Here's all the codexes. Here's the codex reviews. Here's all the box sets, all the dice, everything. And it's like this whole event. It's an hour long.
They've also done this thing, right, where you've got 40k release for the year, new edition. Next year, AOS release for the year. Next year, you've got some independent game from the specialist games.
Yeah.
And back to 40k because everything's on a 3-year life cycle. I feel like they should do something similar to that for the releases as well.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how much. I mean, it's not so bad now because it's a 30-second show. But I can't tell you how much release content I've sat through. I don't care. Yeah. I don't want to look at it.
There's not enough variety in those shows. They need to go, here's the next 3 to 4 months of every single game system that we're doing.
Yeah.
Make it a big event. Because now what happens is they do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't even have to go to the Warcom page. I open Facebook and every single person that exists on Facebook or Instagram just posts the pictures.
Here's the thing about watch-alongs as well, right? They've become kind of meaningless because every fucking influencer in the world wants to do a watch-along just because they think they get more numbers, because people don't want to watch Games Workshop because it's a bit stale, so they all watch watch-alongs. I'll be honest with you, after time, if I'm going up against someone like a Valrak, I'm not going to get the people watch him instead because they do.
We do better off having, because every time they do it, it's on a Wednesday night. It's actually quite beneficial for us because they do it on a Wednesday night, which means that by the time it gets to 1:30 on the Thursday, we go, cool, we're just going to talk about what was done.
But you are right, social media fucks me off as well because obviously my main channel Instagram page is all following 40k or Warhammer accounts because that makes sense. My private one, not so much, but my 40k one does. And then, like, here's a new model of, I don't know, the Sanguinor. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to open Instagram and see 7,000 people that have posted the... And they're all... None of them actually really give that much of a fuck. They're like, I'm going to post the latest Games Workshop model and say, great, look at this great new model from Games Workshop. And all they really want is likes on their page.
My favourite, it's going to trigger you, right, is I follow Henry Cavill on Instagram, right? Yeah. He did a post about Space Marine 2 and that he plays it, right, and that he exists as a person. I fucking love Henry Cavill. I think he's great. I've watched nearly every film he's been in. Every TV series. But I saw about 30 screenshots of his post before I got to his post. Right? Or it's a picture of someone who's met Henry Cavill in the first picture that was taken 2 years ago.
Oh, don't
and then it's a picture of his post. And I'm like,
some fucking cunt
I get it.
Bumped into him at Games Workshop and they've reposted that picture 17 fucking times because that's how they get likes.
And it's like, just let the people that posted just leave it at that. Or yeah.
When anybody posts a picture of Cavill or of a latest fucking preview thing, I flat refuse to like it. In fact, I've actually started just flat unfollowing people. Like, you've annoyed me, you're off. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you, Elect Man. It says, please let me offer a counterpoint. Tying strats and enhancements to detachments results in a lot of haves and have-nots. Plus, you've glossed over the new regiments and armies of renown in the Battletome.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at them, to be honest with you.
We haven't had the book. But I do know that, like, the Battletome, like the regiments and the renown are great. You do make a point, Elect Man. I'll actually say, for the first time ever, I agree with you, Elect Man, that I personally don't like that all the stratagems are tied to detachments.
No, but we did have, I think, a slightly worse scenario when you had 6 pages of stratagems.
There was too many.
Yeah.
Right, there's not.
So before in 40k, I don't know how much 40k you know, Electman, so I don't want to insult you here, but before you had the detachments which you picked, and then you had 6 pages of stratagems. You had access to all of them.
And there was like 8 stratagems per page. So you'd have like 24 to 30 stratagems.
And that was too many.
Whereas now you've got 6. And the problem with having only 6 in a detachment is that someone goes, this is the best detachment, I'm going to have 5 up feel no pain every phase.
But I feel like you should have maybe 3 to 4. Here's what I would do. Before we go,
faster, because I really need a wee.
Here's what I would do before we say goodbye: is I'd take 3 or 4 that are tied to each detachment or battle formation, and then I would give you a pool of stratagems you have access to as an army, say Scaven or Space Marines. But I would say pre-game you must select 4.
Yeah.
So total you're going to get 8 from your Codex, 4 that you get for your detachment, and 4 that you can select from a bank of them.
Yeah.
Almost deck building. That's what I'd like to do.
I like that.
Anyway, thank you so much, people, for hanging out with us today.
Thank you, Phil Maddock, for one gifted membership.
Thank you so much for hanging out today on the Liam Joe AoS Show. You people are amazing. I still love AOS. I still really want to enjoy AOS. I am concerned about its longevity at the moment. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. But thank you for all the donations. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for all the gifted memberships. You people are incredible. There is a live game of AOS tonight. I'll be bringing a Stormcast. Joe is bringing...
Squidgy Nurgle.
Squidgy Nurgle. There we go.
The fatties.
I get to slay some demons. It's almost like Space Marines versus demons. Tonight on AOS, Mr. The Cars will be running the deck for you. I'm hoping to get that camera working properly, but it might not work. We'll see. Thank you so much for hanging out. We're going to go get some dinner now and set the table up for this evening. You've been amazing. I think that's everything. You desperately need to go to the toilet.
I really do.
Yeah, really, really do.
Love you, bye.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you
have a wonderful time.
in the next one.
Bye-bye.